Chapter 1070. Since ancient times, immortals and demons have always been at odds with each other. Although the demon realm was at its peak, following the fall of Chang'u, Mo, and many other great demons who were able to contend against the great immortals, the demon realm was no longer able to contend against the immortal realm, and had been suppressed by the immortal realm many times, falling into a low valley. The current demon realm could not even contend against a single immortal sect, and the people of the immortal realm had long since looked down on the demon realm. And it was precisely because of this that the demon realm was able to survive under such a powerful enemy. But if the people of the immortal realm knew that not only did the people of the demon realm sneak into the immortal realm, they even controlled a few great immortal sects, then the attitude of the immortal realm towards the demon realm would not be so indulgent. With the attitude of the people of the immortal court, they would definitely destroy the demon realm to eliminate future troubles, and the people of the various great immortal sects would also respond, sending a large number of elites into the demon realm to plunder resources. Su Luluo said softly. Although he did not say much, he had hit the nail on the head. Actually, if it wasn't for the fact that Sect Master Wen Xian was so overbearing towards the demon realm, I wouldn't have been like this. Su Yin said indifferently. Hearing that, Su Luo's mouth curved into a sweet smile. She did not expose anything, but continued to speak. If Big Brother wants to truly control the situation, you must do two things right now. First, you cannot continue to hide your identity like this. If you continue to hide it, it will instead attract more people's attention. Choose a reasonable identity, and let it be revealed inadvertently, not openly, but let someone accidentally investigate it. This way the credibility will be higher. Second, immediately send a powerful person to infiltrate the immortal court, starting from the bottom. Whether it's 10 years, 100 years, or even 1,000 years, let him slowly climb up, monitor the immortal court, grasp the movements of the immortal court, and even if it was just to understand the immortal court, that would be very good. However, you must guarantee the loyalty of this person who is sent to the immortal court, so that he can still be loyal to you after thousands of years. If it's according to Yuluo's intentions, Big Brother, Luluo thinks that you should send a devil cultivator over. Su Yun's heart immediately jumped, sending devil cultivator to infiltrate the highest authority in the immortal world? This was simply a fantasy story. You want me to send a devil cultivator? If we're discovered, the devil world that hasn't been exposed yet will probably bear the brunt of this disaster. Wouldn't the situation be even worse? Therefore, if this devil cultivator dares to give up everything for the true devil realm. Su Luluo said softly, I heard that the reason why the devil cultivator possesses the devil nature and powerful devil power is because of the devil blood flowing in their bodies. If we replace the devil blood of an expert with the blood of an immortal, then he will no longer have any devil chi, and in this way, we will have the possibility of entering the immortal court. I don't doubt the loyalty of the demon dwellers. Your method sounds feasible. Su Yin nodded his head in agreement. He had done this kind of thing before, but he had entered the devil realm as a human. He never thought that he would have to let the devil realm enter the immortal realm again. Since that's the case, Big Brother, you can decide on candidate. I have a few subordinates who can help Big Brother's people enter the immortal court. Of course, it won't be a very high position at the beginning, and the things involved will probably be very few. Su Luluo said, Luluo, I know your thoughts are good, but have you ever thought that in the current true devil realm, you can't even find a single spirit profound immortal cultivator, and you want the devil cultivator to change his blood? If he were to exchange blood, his cultivation would definitely drop greatly, and at that time, I am afraid that there would not even be a spirit profound immortal, not even a spirit sage, and the cultivation of the devil cultivator would drop even more miserably. How could such a person with such a low cultivation enter the immortal court? Su Yin said. Even though Su Yuluo's idea was good, to Su Yun, it was not that easy to accomplish. Unexpectedly, Su Luluo smiled and shook his head. No, Big Brother, the immortal court is not a place to look at people based on cultivation. It is a place to look at people based on ability. As long as you have the ability, Even if you don't even have the cultivation of spirit novice disciple, you can still enter. Oh, is that so? Su Yun was silent. So, Big Brother only needs to find an outstanding devil cultivator. Although the strength of the true devil realm is not comparable to the immortal world, in terms of talent, I believe that it is definitely not inferior to the immortal world. Su Yin lowered his head and thought for a moment, then nodded his head and said indifferently, I understand. I will do as you say. Although I am not sure if the immortal court has really started to pay attention to me, it is better to be prepared. That's right, Big Brother's current strength is still a huge gap compared to the immortal court. He can only predict the enemy's strength in order to not lose. Su Luluo said, Luluo, thank you for your advice. Su Yin said, no matter what, Su Luluo's words had woken Su Yun up and also made him realize the potential danger he was in. If not for these words, Su Yun would have continued to be so reckless, and by the time he realized it, it would already be irreversible. Actually, this can't be considered advice. It can only be called a reminder. Big Brother has too many things to take care of in the past, so it's natural that he didn't think about this for a while. Big Brother, if you really want Xia Luluo, can you promise Luluo one thing? What is it? Just say it. Su Yin said. Su Luluo suddenly took a few steps forward. He was extremely close to Su Yun. The fragrance of his body was carried by the wind into Su Yun's nose, adding his fair skin and slightly red face. It was extremely alluring. Su Luluo bowed once again and said softly, Luluo wants to join the immortal seeking sect. Big Brother, what do you think? Although Su Yun was lecherous, he would never be lecherous to Su Luluo. Hearing Su Luluo's words, he was slightly shocked. He took a deep breath, retracted his thoughts, and frowned. Join the immortal seeking sect? Why did you enter the immortal seeking sect? Big Brother, Luluo wants to stay by Big Brother's side and help Big Brother. Su Luluo said again, Father and Mother are going to follow Grandfather back to the ultimate martial world and rebuild the martial imperial palace. If Father and Mother's strength is placed in the immortal world, it would be very weak, but in the ultimate martial world, it would not be difficult for them to dominate an area. If Luluo were to follow them back, it would be very easy for him to become a young miss again. But this is not what Luluo wants. Right now, Luluo's life is given by Big Brother. Luluo wants to repay Big Brother and wants to stay on a higher platform in the immortal world to develop. Su Luluo's performance was very sincere. This time, he was speaking to Su Yun with his heart open. Without hiding anything, he directly told him all of his reasons. As soon as she finished speaking, she actually knelt down. Seeing that, Su Yun was startled and anxiously pulled her up. What are you doing? As a sister, there's nothing wrong with Luluo kneeling to his brother. I am not your brother. I only saved you because I thought about the kindness between me and Su Xintian and Shun Shue. That's all. You don't have to think too much about it. That's a matter between you and Father and Mother. What about Luluo? What about you and Luluo? Luluo was saved by you. Could it be that Luluo should attribute this kindness to Father and Mother? You don't need to repay me. That's what Big Brother thinks. Su Luluo shook his head, his small face filled with determination. But Luluo's thoughts are different from Big Brother's. Although Big Brother doesn't like Luluo, Luluo will definitely make Big Brother admit it. Go back. Forgive me for not being able to obey. You. Su Yin was speechless, but he could not do anything to Su Luluo. He took a deep breath and looked at Su Luluo seriously. I do not leave idle people by my side. Luluo, since you plan to follow me and work for me, then I want to ask, what can you do for me? Is it possible to help Big Brother break into the immortal court? Other than that, don't tell me that Big Brother doesn't need a reliable person to help you take care of the matters between the immortal sects. If it was just relying on his brother or elder Yuan Mo, it would definitely be very difficult. Although Luluo's cultivation was not high, he had previously held the position of Holy Maiden in the Supreme Sect. Other than the Supreme Guard, all the big and small matters in the Supreme Sect were handled by me, and I still have some experience in this area. So, Big Brother, please let me stay. Su Luluo bowed again, his expression extremely serious. Su Yun originally wanted to reject her, But when he saw her small face, the words that were about to reach his throat could not come out. That pair of eyes that were like autumn water were filled with an unwavering gaze. Even if he rejected it, it would be useless. Suyin hesitated. He lowered his head and began to think. In fact, he agreed with many of the things that Su Luluo had said, especially in terms of manpower. Su Luluo had indeed spoken the deepest part of his heart, and right now he really needed a reliable person to help him take care of these immortal sections. It was impossible for him to manage Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, and the rest by himself. And the reason why he used the great exquisite technique on Qin Qianlong and the rest and removed their controlling heart pill was because Su Yun needed to turn these people into his trusted aides. Now, that Su Luluo was willing to help, it was naturally an extremely good thing. Even though her cultivation was not high, her management skills were definitely not weak, and if she wanted to enter the immortal court, she would still need to rely on Su Luluo's help. His thoughts started, and he did not make a sound. Su Luluo gracefully stood at the side, looking at him nervously. After an unknown period of time, Su Yun finally spoke again. "All right, if you want to stay in the Mortal Seeking sect, then I will allow you to stay here." "Really?" Su Luluo was overjoyed. "Thank you, big brother. I already said, I'm not your brother. Even if you stay in the Immortal Seeking sect, I will treat you all the same," Su Yin said seriously. But Su Luluo did not mind. She nodded her head seriously, smiling like a flower. "I will get the Round Demon to arrange a new training ground for you. Let's temporarily tear this place down. It takes up too much space." Su Yin shook his head and immediately turned to leave. Since he had already decided to let Su Luluo stay here, then he had to consider how to create a fake identity and how to sneak into the Immortal Court. Chapter 1071. Su Luluo's ability was limited. Although he had the ability, he could not do much, but on the side of the Immortal Court, Su Luluo seemed to have investigated for Su Yun beforehand. Although he did not know who she had sent to the Immortal Court, but one thing was clear, it was definitely someone that Su Luluo trusted. After dealing with Su Luluo, Su Yun immediately returned to his own training grounds. After going through so much trouble, it was time to rest and calm down. Of course, although he was resting, the Immortal Seeking sect was constantly paying attention to the Feather Emperor Palace. The outcome of Lin Yujing's punishment had not been decided yet, so no one knew what the Immortal Court was planning to do to him. And what Su Yin was most concerned about was the mastermind behind the invasion of the gate to the Immortal Realm. If all of this was orchestrated by Lin Yujing, then with the methods of the Immortal Court, it was impossible for them to not be able to find out anything. If the Immortal Court had such a divine technique, everything would be much easier, but after so many years, the Immortal Court had not asked for the Great Linglong Palace's help, and did not ask for the technique. It was enough to show that the Immortal Court had this technique a long time ago, which was why they did not ask for it from the Great Linglong Palace. If the Great Linglong Palace grasped this technique, then the secrets in Lin Yujing's heart would definitely not be able to be hidden. But if Lin Yujing did not know about the invasion of the Immortal Realm by the power of the Myriad Realms, then this technique would probably allow Lin Yujing to escape from the crime, and would instead be a blessing in disguise. Although he was cultivating, Su Yin found it hard to calm down these few days. Qing'er's side was now relatively safe. Ever since the last chaos in the Peerless sect, many immortal sects had thought that Su Qing'er had been kidnapped by a mysterious force, and the Peerless sect could not stop him at all. Even Lin Yujing and the rest did not know where Su Qing'er was, and the people who attacked the Peerless sect were all annihilated. They did not know that the person they kidnapped was just a substitute. It was just that there were so many gods in the immortal world, and the magic treasures were also very strange and dazzling. Su Yin did not dare guarantee that there were no magic treasures like the Heavenly Seeking Treasure Ling, and if there were, and it was even stronger than this, then no matter where Su Qing'er was, he would still be found. At this time, Su Yun, who was meditating, suddenly opened his eyes and looked out the door. Someone was quietly approaching from outside the door. This person tiptoed and was extremely careful. But when Su Yun looked carefully, he realized that the person who came was the woman who impersonated Su Qing'er. Zijin. Zijin carefully approached the door of the cultivation ground. She looked left and right, but did not know what to do. She went close to the door and carefully pushed it open, peeking inside for a moment. Seeing that Su Yun was still meditating with his eyes closed, she heaved a sigh of relief and prepared to leave. "Stop right there." At this moment, a voice came from inside the house and called out to Zijin. Zijin's body trembled and her face immediately turned pale. She tremblingly turned around and looked at the house. "Sneaking around. What are you doing?" It was Su Yun's voice. Zijin thought that Su Yun was meditating. She never thought that he would actually sense her. Her mouth twitched. She turned fearfully and bowed towards the door of the training grounds. Zijin greets master. "If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you peeping?" Su Yun pushed open the door and walked out. Ugh, I originally had something important to report to my lord, but Lord Yuanamo said that you are in closed-door cultivation and should not be disturbed. I just want to see if you are in closed-door cultivation. If you are very busy, then Zijin will come next time. She spoke with a trembling voice and her head lowered. However, after she finished speaking, she secretly sized up Su Yun. "I'm not busy. If you have anything to say, just say it." "Yes." Zijin hurriedly nodded and said, "Reporting to master, it's about those immortal sections." "Which immortal sects?" Su Yun stared at her with wide eyes. Unexpectedly, this glance actually caused Zijin to be so scared that she immediately hugged her head and squatted down. She closed her eyes and hurriedly said, "It's the Alliance Immortal Sects. The Alliance Immortal Sects." What happened to the Alliance Immortal Sect? They have already begun to prepare for the election of a new alliance leader. They plan to reorganize the alliance. The matter with the Feather Emperor Palace has caused them to be very wary. Ever since the last incident with the Peerless Sect, they have been in a state of panic and plan to take advantage of this opportunity to strengthen themselves. Take advantage of this time's matter? What is it? Su Yun frowned and immediately asked. "It's about Lin Yujing's arrest." Zijin said carefully. "Although Lin Yujing's arrest is a good thing for them, what else can it mean?" Su Yun said, "Could it be that they still want to divide up the Feather Emperor Palace during the time that Lin Yujing is not around?" This. Zijin hesitated for a moment, then nodded her head. "Master, I'm afraid so." "What?" Su Yun was shocked, his eyes wide open. "They really dare?" "They're worried that after Lin Yujing is released, he will make a move on them one by one. After all, the Eight Harmonies sect is an example. Even if the Immortal Court is involved in this matter, they are still very afraid of the Feather Emperor Palace." Zijin said weakly. "Then do they think that with their strength, they could divide up the Feather Emperor Palace under the obstruction of the Immortal Court?" Su Yun said, "Such a big sect, not only does it rely on the sect leader, the experts and elders inside are also like the clouds and rain. How can they easily shake it? Furthermore, they have suffered greatly from the incident with the Peerless Sect and do not have much strength left. How can they divide up the Feather Emperor Palace?" Seeing Su Yun's serious face, Zijin was so scared that she could not help but sit on the ground. Tears flowed out of her eyes, and her voice trembled. "But I heard that they have some unique magic treasure that can completely destroy the defense system of the Feather Emperor Palace. I don't know much about the specific situation, Master. I only know this much." Hearing that, Su Yun's face became gloomy. He did not know what the Immortal Sect Alliance planned to do, nor did he know what magic treasure they had in their hands. But one thing was for sure, this time, they would not let the Feather Emperor Palace go. "Do you know when they will make their move?" Su Yun asked. About tomorrow," Zijin said. "Tomorrow?" Su Yun raised his eyebrows, so hasty. "It is said that the person in charge of the Immortal Court in the Feather Emperor Palace, Luo Wuling, will be returning to the Immortal Court tomorrow to participate in the sacrificial ceremony. There are only a few experts from the Immortal Court overseeing the interior of the Feather Emperor Palace, and it is currently empty. But even so, Luo Wuling cannot stay in the Immortal Court for too long. He knows that Lin Yujing is not in the Feather Emperor Palace, and the Feather Emperor Palace is already being watched by his enemies. If he is not in charge, there will definitely be a disaster. So these immortal sects chose this time to make their move is not the best time. This subordinate is not sure. Zijin shook his head and said, but they have already made up their minds. I used the divine art of transformation to turn the enchantment of the building where they are having a meeting into mist. They haven't noticed it yet, and they can clearly hear what is being said inside. Hearing that, Su Yin lowered his head and thought. Zijin stood at the side nervously, not daring to make a sound, and only carefully looked at Su Yun's expression. After an unknown period of time, go and inform the people in charge of the various sects. Tell them to rush here today. Su Yin suddenly raised his head and said to Zijin in a low voice. When Zijin heard this, she was startled. Then, with a helpless expression, she said, my lord Xiangyang and my lord Xingbai are easy to deal with, but my lord Qin and my lord Wei will not be able to get here within a day. There's also Elder Kai Tian of the Eight Harmonies Gate. These 3 immortal sects are very far away. I'm afraid they'll need at least 2 days to get here. You're right, I didn't think it through. Su Yun's eyes flickered and said, then ask Elder Yuan Mo, Master Xiangyang, and Master Xingbai to come over. I will talk to these 3. Yes. Zijin immediately bowed as if he had been pardoned, and then ran out like a gust of wind. Not long after, Xiangyang and the round demon hurriedly rushed over, while Xingbai was still halfway there. Hearing Zijin's message, the 2 of them did not stop, and not long later, they arrived outside of Su Yun's cultivation grounds. Come in and talk. Su Yun saw that the 2 of them were in a hurry, and said. The 2 of them nodded and walked inside. Zijin originally wanted to take the opportunity to slip away, but was stopped by Su Yun. With a bitter expression, he followed Xiangyang and the round demon into the cultivation grounds. The round demon and Xiangyang had a strange look on their faces. When Su Yun entered the house, the round demon cupped his fists and asked carefully, Master, I wonder why you summoned us here? It's urgent. Su Yun's back was facing the 2 of them, and he said, just now, Zijin came to report that the members of the Immortal Sex Alliance will launch an attack on the Feather Emperor Palace tomorrow. What? Hearing that, the 2 of them were extremely shocked. They looked at Su Yun with their mouths agape, and only regained their senses after a long while. The round demon immediately turned his head, stared at the nervous Zijin, and asked, is the news accurate? Absolutely, Zijin said with a trembling voice. I heard it with my own ears. It's definitely not wrong. Seeing that, the 2 of them did not say another word. Just then, Su Yun turned around, stared at the round demon and Xiangyang, and said, Yuan demon, in a moment, immediately send someone to pass this matter to Wei Ming, Qin Xianlong, and Kai Tian. Tell them to quickly prepare to take action. Xiangyang, immediately gather the power of the immortal seeking sect, cooperate with the carefree palace, and gather outside. Master, you're also preparing to make a move on the Feather Emperor Palace? Xiangyang was stunned. No. Su Yin shook his head. Let's go find the members of the immortal sects. Chapter 1072. Hearing Su Yun's decision, both of their eyes were filled with worry. Do we attack the member sects of the Alliance? The round demon hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fists and said in a deep voice, Master, if that's the case, the round demon, please reconsider. Elder Yuan Mo, do you have anything to say? Su Yin looked at the round demon and said. The round demon thought for a while, then said, Lord Demon Lord, you have told us before, although Lin Yujing has entered the Immortal Court, and the Feather Emperor Palace is without a leader, but the overall strength of the Feather Emperor Palace has not been damaged, with Luo Wuling and the other experts of the Immortal Court overseeing it. The current Feather Emperor Palace is not easy to deal with. Perhaps it can't be said that it is not easy to deal with, but it is probably even stronger than before, because in front of the Feather Emperor Palace, there is already an immortal court standing. And at this critical juncture, if we were to make a move against the immortal sects of the Alliance, not only would we expose our own identities, we would also exonerate Lin Yujing. Others would definitely know that the one who killed the Four Seas Empyrean was not Lin Yujing, but someone else. I know. Su Yun smiled slightly and said, But have you all ever thought, if these people from the Alliance were to really attack the Feather Emperor Palace, what would the result be? Their main goal is to weaken the Jingyu Royal Palace's strength, especially the Spirit Mountain outside the Jingyu Royal Palace. It is their main target. If they can take down the Spirit Mountain and take it for themselves, they will no longer have to fear the Jingyu Royal Palace. In this way, not only will the alliance be broken, the strength of both sides will be equal, said Xiangyang, who was at the side. They do not plan to destroy the Feather Emperor Palace, and in fact, they cannot do it either. Since that's the case, then the members of the alliance will not use their full strength, but they will still have to put on a show. Right now, these immortal sects are not as strong as they used to be, and since they want to take action against the Feather Emperor Palace this time, they will definitely empty out the power of the sect, and in this way, their sects will be incomparably empty, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. I want to immediately lead all of our forces and sweep away all of these celestial sects with lightning speed, seize their resources, and strengthen ourselves. If our sect can really devour all of them, then even if we exonerate Lin Yujing and expose ourselves, it doesn't matter because at that time, we can look down on the startling Feather Emperor Palace. Su Yun said in a deep voice. Dozens of immortal sects alliance. All of them were empty. They were like unmanned treasures, waiting for Su Yun to take them. If this battle was successful, the power in Su Yun's hands would be comparable to the strongest immortal sects in the immortal world. Hearing this, Xiang Yang's eyes lit up, and his heart beat wildly. If that was really the case, then he could be considered to have made it. So that's what the demon monarch meant. The round demon could be considered to have understood Su Yun's words. He frowned and thought for a moment, but did not express any further opinions. He neither agreed nor objected. Seeing that, Su Yun tacitly agreed. Xingbai will definitely arrive tonight. The people from the Carefree Palace should be arriving soon. Xiangyang, quickly go and prepare the pills, immortal weapons, mechanisms, and immortal beasts. We can depart at any time. Yes, Elder Yuan and Mo, it's been hard on you. Immediately contact the spies around these immortal sects and report to me everything they see about these immortal sects. Don't let go of even the slightest bit of information. Understood? Zeke Jin, here. Go to the Jingyu Emperor Palace immediately and keep an eye on the movements over there. Yes. Also, get Su Luluo to come see me. Su Yun called out again. Zi Jin immediately replied and left in a hurry. Everyone took action swiftly and fiercely, and the immortal-seeking sect instantly became restless. Su Yun fiercely took a deep breath, his eyes filled with fighting intent. If he was able to succeed this time, then he would no longer have any opponents in this celestial region. Not long after, Su Luluo arrived at the training grounds. She walked to the front of the door and bowed respectfully. Her pink lips slightly moved. Luluo greets Big Brother. Come in and talk. Su Yun, who was still thinking about something, said. Su Luluo immediately walked in. Seeing Su Yun, who was standing inside, Su Luo's eyes lit up and a faint smile appeared on her face. Big Brother summoned Luluo here. What instructions do you have? Oh, you're here. Su Yun regained his senses and looked at Su Luluo, who was smiling sweetly in front of him. His expression was a little absent-minded. He gasped for breath and said, Luluo, how much information do you have on the Immortal Court? Brother, what do you mean? Su Luluo revealed a puzzled look. The Immortal Court is about to hold a sacrificial ceremony. Do you know about it? Is it the Immortal Law sacrificial ceremony that is held once every 100 years in the Immortal Court? Luluo had heard a few people mention this recently and could be considered to know a little about it. It is said that this sacrificial ceremony was used to pay respects to the founder of the Immortal Court and has evolved to this day. It is a ceremony used by the Immortal Court to restructure the rules of the Immortal Court and reorganize the upper echelons of the Immortal Court. The people of the Immortal Court are divided into ranks, and no matter what rank they are, as long as it is not urgent, they must participate in this sacrificial ceremony. In that case, the information that Zi Jin obtained is correct. It seems like Luo Wuling is really preparing to return to the immortal court to participate in this sacrificial ceremony. Su Yun said. Seeing the solemn look on Su Yun's face, Su Luluo was startled. What does Big Brother plan to do? The people of the Alliance are preparing to rebel against Lin Yujing. Tomorrow, they're going to make a move on the Jingyu Imperial Palace. Su Yun said indifferently. What? Su Luluo was obviously shocked. Are they not afraid of offending the Immortal Court? To be punished by the Immortal Court? The law does not punish the masses. Furthermore, their goal this time is not to swallow the Jingyu Imperial Palace, but to suppress them. With any excuse, even the Immortal Court will not be able to do anything to them. Then, brother means, devour these immortal sects. Su Yun's eyes revealed a trace of determination. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Brother's thoughts are indeed very insightful. I believe that brother asked Luluo to come over today, hoping that Luluo can provide brother with all the information regarding the immortal court at the first possible moment. Su Luluo laughed. Yes. Su Yun nodded his head. This is the time where I need you urgently. Grasping the movements of the immortal court is the key to our success in this operation. If your identity is exposed, the consequences will be extremely severe, so Luluo, I need you to do your best for me. Hearing that, Su Luluo nodded his head seriously. His fair face once again revealed a gentle smile. Big brother, don't worry. Luluo will definitely not disappoint Big Brother. All right. Su Yun nodded his head. Everything is ready, now. It all depends on everyone's actions. Now that all the movements were under control, it was time to see how they would act. Su Yun did not fight a battle that he was not confident in, and he understood the principle of knowing oneself and knowing one's enemy. When Xingbai led a large group of elites from the Carefree Palace to the immortal-seeking sect, the azure blue sky was already covered in a layer of dim luster. The day and night in the immortal world were not obvious, so the immortals who were cultivating often looked at the sky. The current Carefree Palace was no longer the same as before. Xingbai took advantage of the fact that the Carefree Palace had obtained a large amount of resources to continuously recruit powerful scattered immortals to strengthen himself. This group of people had a total of 70,000 immortals. All of them were existences above the second stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm and were extremely powerful. When Su Yun gave the order, he carefully selected and gathered 30,000 first and second stage Spirit Profound Immortal existences. When these 100,000 immortals gathered together, they were like an incomparably sharp and indestructible sword. Even the Feather Emperor Palace would find it difficult to gather such a lineup. Su Yun stared at the densely packed immortals in front of him. His heart suddenly became nervous. Luluo, he called out. Su Luluo, who was standing on the left, immediately replied, Big brother, do you have any instructions? I still remember you telling me last time that the immortal court has already noticed me, right? Su Yun said softly. Yes. Su Luluo nodded. Now that I think about it, I feel uneasy. Brother thinks that this is a trap set by the immortal court. I don't know. Su Yun shook his head. Logically speaking, these people from the immortal sects should be acting cautiously and recuperating properly. But to them, this operation is simply too risky. To suddenly make such a decision, and to make a move against a sect that has obtained the protection of the immortal court, it's a little strange. Big Brother's consideration is indeed not bad, but what Big Brother said before is also very reasonable. If we can succeed this time, then to Big Brother, everything will be smooth sailing. But there is one thing that Big Brother must be careful of. Be careful of what? Be careful of the people under your control, Big Brother. Xingbai, Xiangyang, and the others. No. Su Luluo shook her head. Her gaze turned towards the small group of immortal elites, and her cherry lips opened slightly. Be careful of the group of people below them. What's the problem with those people? The problem is not with them, but with the immortal court. Su Luluo said softly. With that said, Su Yun suddenly understood. Su Luluo hoped that Su Yun would be careful of the spies that the immortal court had planted among those people. He thought for a while, then immediately summoned Xing Bai and Xiang Yang, and instructed the two of them not to reveal the purpose of this operation for the time being, and only to collect spirit ores as an excuse. Xing Bai and Xiang Yang nodded and immediately retreated. When all the elites of the two immortal sects had gathered, Su Yun waved his hand, indicating for Xiang Yang and Xing Bai to lead the way. The 100,000 immortals all leaped up, transforming into white light that flew into the sky. The 100,000 beams of light turned into a meteor shower, shuttling back and forth in the sky. This time, there were only two immortal sects taking action, but before they left, the people in charge of the Hidden Dragon Hall, Great Linglong Palace, and the Eight Harmonies sect had already received the news. After receiving the order, the three people in charge immediately took action, gathering their elites and headed towards Su Yun's direction. Chapter 1073. Above the vast clouds of smoke, a dense group of people were standing in the clouds. They were arranged neatly, holding onto their weapons, ready to fight. Su Yun, Xiang Yang, the Round Demon, and Xing Bai stood at the front of the group. Faceless, who was sent to carry out the mission, was also brought along by Su Yun. He was like a pole standing on Su Yun's right side. Although Faceless had not followed Su Yun for long, his current performance was not bad. Everything that Su Yun had instructed him to do was done properly. And because of this, Su Yun was not stingy and rewarded him with many good things, causing Faceless cultivation to increase by quite a bit. The resources that Su Yun currently had in his hands were all given to him by the people in charge of the immortal sects, and all of them were the rarest treasures at the moment. The current him was no longer lacking in cultivation resources. Even if it was a mortal coin, he still had a huge amount of them. I just received news that Lord Wei Ming, Lord Kai Tian, and Lord Qin Qianlong have already led their elites and are heading here at full speed. They're using the swift wind treasure equipment and are riding the wind. I believe that they will be able to meet us in less than half a day. Xiang Yang cupped his fists and said to Su Yun, "Very good." Su Yun nodded his head and then looked at the Round Demon beside him. "Is there any news from Zijin?" "I just reported the latest news. Those member sects have already mobilized the remaining forces of their sects and are currently gathering at the auspicious Phoenix Cloud, which is not far from the Feather Emperor Palace. According to my initial estimates, these dozens of large and small immortal sects have sent a total of about 700,000 immortals, and most of them are experts. This is definitely their last bit of strength." The Round Demon said seriously, "In that case, their interior must be extremely empty." Su Yun said, "Lord Demon Lord, are we leaving now?" The Round Demon asked. "No." Su Yun shook his head and said indifferently, "Wait until they fight with the Feather Emperor Palace and are in a stalemate. Then we will immediately set off. Now that they're fighting, it won't be so easy for me to escape. But this place is far from all the major sections. I'm afraid we won't make it in time if we rush over." The Round Demon's face was filled with worry. "No, there's still time." Su Yun waved his hand, and a bright light map condensed in front of everyone. This was a rather large map of the immortal domain. Su Yun raised his hand and pointed to a few areas on the map and said indifferently, "Although we seem to be very far away from those immortal sects, in reality, we are equivalent to a starting point, and those immortal sects have formed a long line. If we move, we can gallop all the way like a hot knife through butter and advance along this line. On the surface, we seem to have close to 3 to 4 days of travel with many sects, but in reality, these 3 to 4 days of travel is the time for us to move. If we calculate it like this, we actually only need 5 days to settle all the battles. In a stalemate, they will not be able to settle the matter in 5 days. In terms of time, we have enough." Hearing that, the crowd looked at the map again and came to a sudden realization. "Luluo, brother." Su Luluo took a step forward. "Is there anything going on with the Immortal Court?" Luo Wuling has already arrived at the Immortal Court, but it is clear that the people of the Immortal Court have placed spies in the Alliance Immortal Sects. The moment the Alliance Immortal Sects made their move, Luo Wuling received the news and immediately asked for instruction from his superiors, and then rushed towards the Feather Emperor Palace at top speed. Su Luo said. Luo Wuling's movements are really fast. Su Yun thought for a while, then asked, Then did the people from the Alliance Immortal Sects receive the news of Luo Wuling's return? Ziv Jin hasn't heard anything yet. They shouldn't have received the news so quickly. The round demon beside him replied, Then let's reveal some information to them and speed up their attack. If Luo Wuling arrives, then the situation will be uncertain. If he quickly stabilizes the situation, it will be extremely disadvantageous for us. After Su Yun finished speaking, he lowered his head and thought for a while. After a while, he turned and said to the round demon, Elder Yuan Mo, I will have to trouble you to personally handle this matter. Whether it is the Feather Emperor Palace or the Alliance Immortal Sects, is the most sensitive time. Any bit of news can cause them to react excessively, so you must be careful when revealing the news. Don't worry, Lord Demon Lord. The round demon will arrange everything properly. The round demon nodded. All right. Su Yun waved his hand and said indifferently, Let everyone prepare. Wait for the people from the Hidden Dragon Hall, the 8 Harmonies sect, and the Great Ling Long Palace to arrive. Rest for an hour. Then we will immediately set off. Now we will first rush to the first immortal sect, the 6 Equals Palace. Quickly finish the battle, plunder the resources, do not continue to fight. We must finish it within 4 hours. Yes, sir. The few people in charge shouted in unison. During this period of time, Su Yun had been paying attention to the movements of the Success Immortal Sect and the Immortal Court, listening to his subordinates' reports at all times. Luo Wuling seemed to have received more and more information, and knew that this time the various great immortal sects had sent out all of their elites to attack the Feather Emperor Palace. Right now, they were extremely anxious, and if the situation developed to an uncontrollable state, it would be a huge mistake for them. However, Luo Wuling's ability was limited. Even though he was from the Immortal Court, it was not easy for him to control so many immortals. Time was a must. It was just a matter of how much. The goal of the Immortal Sect Alliance was to weaken the strength of the Feather Emperor Palace. If they did not achieve this goal, they would definitely not let the matter rest. 2 hours later, the latest news showed that the members of the Alliance Immortal Sects had all gathered. After receiving the news from the spies arranged by the Round Demon, the people of the Alliance could not hold it in any longer. Without even having the time to reorganize, they directly headed towards the Feather Emperor Palace. The vast and mighty army numbered close to 1 million immortals, and the scene was extremely spectacular. After about the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the informant that was planted in the immortal sects finally relayed the news to the Feather Emperor Palace. Everyone in the Feather Emperor Palace immediately began to prepare. The various elders and the experts of the Immortal Court began to activate and strengthen the enchantment, and the disciples of the Feather Emperor Palace at the Spirit Mountain also began to retreat into the sect. 6 hours later, Wei Ming, Kai Tian, and Qin Qianlong led the elites of the various tribes and met up with Su Yun. Close to 200,000 spirit immortal experts gathered above the clouds. After another hour, the temporary allied forces formed by the Alliance Immortal Sects finally arrived at the entrance of the Feather Emperor Palace and launched an attack on the Spirit Mountain. The experts of the Feather Emperor Palace all rushed out to resist the allied forces, and the battle between the two sides began. After Su Yun received the news, he could no longer hold back the restlessness in his heart. He immediately commanded his troops and led all the elites towards the Lu Jun Palace, which was only half a day's journey away. The reason why he chose this place was not only because it was like a starting point, he could gallop all the way and sweep through all the immortal sects, but the main reason was that he could confuse a portion of the people here, because only when they were about to set off did many of the army understand that they were making a move on the Lu Jun Palace. Even if there were people from the other immortal sects, or even the Immortal Court mixed in with Su Yun's people, it was too late to report to the higher-ups. The 200,000 immortals were like a sharp sword that had already pierced through the sky, chasing after the horizon. Wherever the light passed, the immortal intent would disappear. The Lu Jun Palace was a sect that was famous for its Lu Jun immortal technique. The Lu Jun immortal technique was able to gather the 6 different elemental powers of wind, water, fire, thunder, wood, and light together and use them freely. It could become an invincible and powerful killing move, and it could retreat into a peerless immortal shield that was comparable to the earth. It was unbreakable, although the Lu Jun Palace was not very strong. With this technique in charge, the immortals of the 4 directions did not dare to offend them. However, because of the matter with the Feather Emperor Palace, there were less than 20,000 immortals in the Lu Jun Palace. Moreover, most of these immortals were weak and could not withstand a single blow. When Su Yun led the mighty 200,000 immortals over, none of them dared to resist. In order to avoid trouble, Su Yun made everyone wear a Black Order badge without any words, and their clothes were different, so that others could not guess their identities. But when these people saw Su Yun and the rest rushing over, they cried out in alarm, as if they knew who they were helping. Thinking about it, it was not the first time Su Yun had done such a thing. How could these immortal sects not have heard of it? However, facing so many experts, none of the 6 Jun Palace's immortals dared to resist. They immediately covered their heads and ran around like rats. When the sex barrier was broken, the army rushed in like a gust of wind, turning everything in the 6 Jun Palace into a mess. All the immortal equipment and immortal pills were swept away. Not a single one was left. In just 2 hours, the plundering of the 6 Jun Palace had ended, and there was almost no resistance. When the army came out of the 6 Jun Palace, Su Yun was shocked. He never thought that the resistance of the people of the 6 Jun Palace would be so weak, and their defense system would be so poor. He originally thought that it would take at least 4 hours, but he didn't expect it to end in 2 hours. Seeing a few people from the immortal sects excitedly rushing out of the 6 Jun Palace with red faces, Su Yun's heart could not help but twitch. I never thought that the 6 Jun Palace would end so quickly. It seems like the sects behind it will be smooth sailing. We're like a hot knife through butter. Xiang Yang said with a smile. Master, let's set off now and head to the next immortal sect. Xingbai could not help but say, at the moment, he was extremely excited. The 6 Spirit God Lamp used by the 6 Spirit Palace's sect leader was not taken away by the 6 Spirit God Lamp, and was directly obtained by him. Xingbai had once dreamed of obtaining the 6 Spirit God Lamp, and this item was of great help to the immortal techniques he had learned. After attacking the 6 Spirit God Lamp, Su Yun was not stingy and directly gave it to him. How could he not be excited? All right. Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then nodded his head and shouted, Let's not stop to rest. Let's end the battle quickly and head towards the next immortal sect at full speed. We have to get rid of all the internal targets before they react. Yes, sir. As the shouts rang out, everyone's fighting spirit was high. Chapter 1074. The majestic building towered above the clouds. Around the building were vast and dazzling platforms of light. Immortals flashed across the platforms from time to time. In front of the building in the distance, a group of people slowly flew out. When the immortals in and out of the area saw this group, they all stopped what they were doing or stopped in their tracks, then bowed respectfully to them. No one dared to ignore this group at a time like this, which was enough to show their esteemed status. The group flew slowly, not looking like they were going somewhere, but more like they were taking a stroll. Only when he reached the light platform at the very front did he stop. This light platform was already tens of thousands of miles away from the vast and majestic building. A light breeze blew, and a tall man stood in front of the platform, his hands clasped behind his back. He looked ahead, his deep eyes filled with the light of wisdom. The people behind him followed closely, but didn't dare to make a sound. A long while later, whoosh, the man exhaled, then said coolly, Is everyone moving? His voice was very magnetic. The people behind didn't dare to tarry and hurriedly answered, We just sent word that everyone is moving. The man nodded and reached into the air. His skin was abnormally pale, but his arm was pitch black like the night sky. It was especially magical. I did a divination yesterday and asked about fate. Although we're called immortals, we can't escape the cycle of fate. We can't jump out of the 3 realms and we can't enter the 5 elements. This is also the difference between us and gods. He flipped his palm and said coolly, "Fate tells me that this vast and peaceful immortal world will no longer be peaceful. A great calamity is approaching, and we need to prepare as soon as possible." Your subordinate understands. The people behind him hurriedly cupped their fists. "Pass down the order. Get ready to move at any time." "Yes, but, Your Excellency, the other side seems to be on guard." When we caught sight of their movements, they'd already begun moving very quickly. "So what?" The man turned his head and stared at the people behind him, saying coolly, "What does it have to do with us if we move early or late? What's important is that they're already in our hands." "You're right, my lord. Although the other party is extremely careful, in this world, no one can escape fate. As long as we can see through fate, no matter how far he runs, what's the use?" The man's eyes lit up with an extremely elegant smile. The person behind him cupped his fists. After a moment of silence, Shienner carefully asked, "My lord, then the great calamity you spoke of, is it related to these people?" "I don't know yet." The man shook his head. "Although fate is mysterious, it can't tell me too much. If I tell you too much, it'll mess up fate. Not only will I die early, but the person I'm spying on will also be affected by my actions. This kind of consequence is extremely serious, so we must stop when it's appropriate and not be greedy and ask too many questions. This subordinate understands." That person quietly wiped the sweat off his forehead. Obviously, he understood the hidden meaning of this sentence. Too many questions. "Yes." The man nodded. His line of sight returned to the vast and boundless blue sky in the distance, and lightly said, "I heard that the ants that invaded the gate of the immortal realm have stopped? There hasn't been any activity recently, right?" "Yes." The person behind him hurriedly answered. "Lord Long has already applied to the higher-ups to remove the barrier and reopen the gate of the immortal realm. Ever since the gate of the immortal realm was closed, the entire immortal realm has been filled with complaints. Lord Long has taken on a lot of pressure. Now that the people of the immortal realm have stopped invading the gate of the immortal realm, there's no need to set up the barrier anymore. Although the barrier can be removed, Long Jing, the Imperial Gate emissary, also needs some effort. Although he has stopped this time, there's no guarantee that there won't be a next time." The man lightly said, "Fate can't be predicted. I haven't divined where these ants of the immortal realm came from, but I believe that this power must be related to the great calamity." The people behind him all remained silent. At this time, a hurried sound of air being torn came from afar. A person wearing the clothes of the immortal court flew over quickly. When he neared, the man hurriedly landed on the light platform and ran over. "Minister Emissary." This person bowed. "What's the matter?" The man turned around. Replying to Lord Luo Wuling sent a message. "Everything is as Lord expected. You could take them at any time. Then you can do it. You don't have to ask for my orders for everything." The man casually waved his hand and said lightly. Then he turned around and looked into the distance. Yes, the misty immortal mountain was a mountain of cultivation that had been passed down for 10,000 years. It was a natural place of cultivation that attracted countless loose immortals to come here to cultivate. However, after a powerful immortal appeared 10,000 years ago, the misty immortal mountain was no longer a place that anyone could enter. It directly became a private place, and that immortal was known as the misty immortal. The misty immortal was powerful and had a high cultivation base. He didn't stay in a mountain for long. Later, he took in a disciple who was talented and intelligent. He passed on his mantle and left on a crane. The disciple of the misty immortal was the current owner of the misty immortal mountain. However, the current misty immortal mountain was no longer as lively and prosperous as it used to be. At this time, it was undergoing a baptism that came from the power of the demonic realm. Countless immortals wearing black tokens rushed into the immortal mountain and began to plunder wantonly. They were powerful, and no one could do anything to them. The immortals guarding the misty immortal mountain had long since been treated as nothing by them. These were the elite forces of the various great immortal sects in Su Yun's hands. Like locusts, they had already tightly wrapped up the entire misty immortal mountain. Then, they wantonly shuttled back and forth between the mountains, destroying all the buildings in the mountains and shattering all the array formations inside. Everyone was crazily plundering, not wanting to fight at all. Even if the people of the misty immortal mountain wanted to fight, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long against so many experts. Not long after, the entire misty immortal mountain was completely under Su Yun's control. At this moment, Su Yun was still watching from outside the mountain, assessing the situation. His eyes were fixed on the other side of the mountain, thinking that the famous misty immortal mountain would have some kind of miraculous technique to stop his people. However, after an entire hour, he did not see much resistance from the people of the misty immortal mountain. Occasionally, there would be a few tough bones that wanted to resist, but they could only hold on for a few breaths of time before they were beaten to the ground. Such a large misty immortal mountain was actually worse than the Six Equals Palace. It didn't even last for 2 hours before it was completely plundered. It was truly shocking. Master, it's about time. We basically didn't encounter any resistance. Most of the troops of the misty immortal mountain have been transferred away. Once the enchantment is broken, they are powerless to resist. We can say that we have won a great victory. Xingbai flew over and cupped his fist toward Su Yun. Oh, is that so? A trace of worry appeared on Su Yun's face. He stared at the misty immortal mountain, and there was a hint of unconcealable worry in the depths of his eyes. Seeing that Su Yun didn't seem to be happy, Xingbai was puzzled. Is Master worried about something? Let's not talk about the Six Equals Palace. The misty immortal mountain is a power with a long history. There are close to 30,000 people in this sect. 30,000. They're at least at the peak of the Spirit Sage, right? They have more people than the Six Equals Palace. And with the addition of this misty immortal mountain, which is half mist and half heavenly stones, it could be considered a strange mountain. They know a special place like the misty immortal mountain like the back of their hand, and most of us are here for the first time. If they want to defend it, it would be extremely easy, and they would be able to hold on for at least a day and a half. But now, they haven't even lasted for 2 hours. Su Yun said solemnly. After thinking for a moment, he couldn't help but nod his head. That's right. Logically speaking, the people of the misty immortal mountain shouldn't have given up so quickly. When Lord Qin Xianlong and I rushed in, we discovered that the few elders of the misty immortal mountain were still guarding the sect leader's cave. However, when they saw us, they only resisted symbolically for a moment. Seeing that it was useless, they immediately surrendered. If we were to fight, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to determine the victor within half a day. That's the strange part. Su Yun's face darkened. It was the same for the Six Equals Palace. They had the ability to resist, but they didn't. They had the ability to defend, but they didn't defend. And now, the misty immortal mountain is the same. How can I not be suspicious? It's as if we've been notified in advance. Master, are you saying that the misty immortal mountain has negotiated with the Six Equals Palace? Xingbai's heart skipped a beat. If there really was a negotiation, it wouldn't just be between these two immortal sects, but all the Alliance immortal sects. Su Yun said indifferently. With a wave of his hand, he took out the map from before and carefully examined it. On the map, the encampments of the various sects were marked with a red dot. With a casual sweep, it was like an arc, and in the middle of the arc there was a huge dot. This dot was the Feather Emperor Palace. This is the misty immortal mountain, right? Su Yun stared at one of the dots and pondered. Xingbai stood at the side. Seeing that Su Yun seemed to be deep in thought, he did not dare interrupt. However, not long after, Su Yun, who had been deep in thought, suddenly had a change in expression. He suddenly opened his eyes wide and stared at the map. This shape, it's a big mouth," he muttered, his face extremely pale. "Master, what are you talking about?" Xingbai was extremely confused. Su Yun stretched out his hand and poked at the arc and the huge dot and said anxiously, "If the Immortal Court, the Alliance Immortal Sects, and Lin Yujing have reached an agreement, and at this time, the Immortal Court suddenly attacked from the outside, If this isn't a big mouth that devours us, then what is it? Xingbai was a sect leader after all. How could he not understand what was happening when he saw the map? He was so shocked that his heart skipped a beat. This, quick! Immediately passed down the order, retreat at top speed. Go from the north. Quick! Go from the north. Retreat immediately. Don't leave a single one behind. Retreat. Suyin almost roared out loud. Xingbai's eyes widened. He was almost unable to react to what was going on. He hurriedly ran down and informed the various people in charge. Since things had come to this, Su Yun believed in his own judgment. He could not take the resources of these immortal sects, but he could not let himself take a wrong step, because if he did, everyone related to him would be consigned to eternal damnation. Chapter 1075. Su Yun suddenly gave the order to retreat, causing Qin Xianlong, Wei Ming, and the rest who were still immersed in the joy of plundering to be unable to react. The current situation was great. Why did Su Yun suddenly give the order to retreat? And an emergency retreat? Although everyone was confused, no one dared to disobey the order. The 200,000 people immediately retreated towards the north. In the end, they were elites selected from the various sects, and their speed was not slow at all. After the order was given, the army gradually left after 10 breaths of time. Su Yun did not dare delay, and led the round demon and the rest to quickly retreat. Immediately get Zijin and Su Luluo to report to me the movements of the Immortal Court and the Feather Emperor Palace. Report to me at all times, and do not let go of any signs of trouble. Su Yun said to the round demon. Yes, sir. The round demon replied. She turned her head and ordered her subordinates to contact Zijin and Su Luluo. Master, no one from the Immortal Court is rushing towards us. Maybe they don't even know that we have already made our move. It would be too much of a pity to retreat at this time. If we can continue the next one, we will definitely be able to finish them off within 6 hours. Xiang Yang turned his head and could not help but say to Su Yun, if we go any deeper, it will be over. Su Yun's voice became gloomy, his eyes staring coldly ahead. The next one is the Misty Sky sect, surrounded by clouds and mist. Immortal stones are flying everywhere. The people of the Misty Sky sect are proficient in illusion techniques, and the sect is also filled with illusion arrays. If the people of the Misty Sky sect do not interfere, even if the people of the Misty Sky sect are proficient in illusion techniques, facing our ocean-like army, it would be difficult for them to resist. But now, it is different. The Immortal Court has interfered. If the Misty Sky sect and the Immortal Court work together and use illusion techniques to control us, then everything will be over. Not to mention that the Misty Sky sect is only half a day away from the Feather Emperor Palace. It is the sect closest to the Feather Emperor Palace. If they use illusion techniques to delay us, and all the people from the Immortal Sect Alliance, the Immortal Court, and the Feather Emperor Palace attack us, we will not be able to defend against them. How is this possible? Xiang Yang's heart skipped a beat. Right now, the people from the Immortal Sects are fighting with the Feather Emperor Palace. How can they work together? To deal with us? Didn't I say it just now? The three of them are attacking us. Su Yun's expression tensed up and said, in other words, maybe everything that the three of them are doing right now is just an illusion. His goal is to lure us out. Hearing this, Xiang Yang was dumbfounded. He trembled as if he wanted to say something, but as soon as the words came out of his mouth, he didn't know what to say. Xiang Yang, I know what you want to say. I also hope that the three parties didn't come to an agreement to deal with us. But don't forget that the Immortal Court is one of the people we have to deal with. If the Immortal Court noticed any traces of us and used our existence as a reason to mediate between the people of the Immortal Sect and the startling Feather Emperor Palace, then this kind of thing is possible. Xiang Yang remained silent. In the end, I was still too impulsive. The victories over the past few days had caused me to lower my guard. I shouldn't have set off for this operation. I should have first seen if the Celestial Sects were really going to make a move. If they wanted to fight, then let them fight. It wouldn't be too late to make a move after both sides were heavily injured. Su Yun thought to himself, and was also annoyed at his impulsive actions in the past few days. However, just as Su Yun was leading the nearly 200,000 elites of the various sects to flee towards the north, Suddenly, the people in front of them stopped. Everyone gathered in one place and blocked the way. No one moved forward anymore. What happened? Qin Qianlong flew high into the air and roared loudly. Reporting to my lord, there are a large number of void shock waves in front of us. A few immortals shouted as they looked at the sky. Void shockwave. Hearing that, Qin Qianlong's expression changed. He hurriedly flew forward for a distance, and when he passed through the dense crowd, even he stopped. The sky in front of everyone was completely distorted. Any matter that entered the distorted sky would be immediately torn to pieces, and a large amount of spatial aura floated out from the distorted sky. Some of the immortals who knew this kind of immortal technique stood out and wanted to use their techniques to smooth out the distorted sky. However, even after using their techniques several times, they were still unable to smooth out the sky. For a moment, more than 200,000 people were blocked here, unable to take even half a step forward. Qin Qianlong was shocked. He immediately turned and rushed towards Su Yun to report the matter. What? Someone used a technique to block our path with a void shockwave? Hearing Qin Qianlong's report, Su Yun could not believe his ears. He was stunned for a moment, then led a group of higher-ups and rushed forward. However, the scene in front of him also shocked him to the core. The direction in which they were moving forward was completely distorted by the immortal technique. This strange and terrifying scene was hard to believe. Su Yun looked left and right and realized that the distorted area was shockingly big. No matter if it was up or down, left or right, he could not see the end, as if it was deliberately appearing here to stop Su Yun from moving forward. How could such a thing suddenly appear? Wei Ming, Kai Tian, and Xing Bai all came over. Looking at the scene in front of them, everyone's hearts jumped. Do you think this is a coincidence? Master, what should we do now? Whether this area is naturally formed or man-made, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that we have to jump over and can't turn back. Su Yun thought for a moment, then turned to look at Su Luluo, who was rushing over, and asked loudly, Is there any movement from the immortal court? There's no movement yet. Elder Yuan Mo, there shouldn't be anything strange on Zijin's side, right? Su Yun asked the round demon again. The round demon took out the order badge, looked at it a few times, and shook his head. I haven't sent a message yet. There shouldn't be any problems. Hearing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Xing Bai and Qin Qianlong looked at each other. They could see the confusion and worry in each other's eyes. They communicated with each other for a moment, and in the end, they seemed to have made a decision, and then the two of them walked forward together and cupped their fists toward Su Yun. Master, hearing that, Su Yun turned to look at them and frowned. What's the matter? The two of them hesitated for a moment, but in the end, Qin Qianlong spoke up. Master, aren't you being too cautious? Maybe, 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 maybe. All of this is just us overthinking it. That's right, my lord, we have already destroyed a few immortal sects. But the people of the Immortal Court are still indifferent, and the people of the Feather Emperor Palace are still fighting fiercely. This is a good time to chase after them. If we give up and retreat at this time, it would be a pity. As soon as the two of them spoke, the surrounding Kai Tian, Wei Ming, and Xiang Yang all revealed looks of desire. He had not followed Su Yun for long, and this was the first time he had participated in such a thing. He had directly plundered the resources and magic treasure of other sects and used his powerful martial arts to crush the other party. This kind of robbing like a bandit actually made him feel incomparably happy, and when he took down the Six Uniques Palace, his originally nervous heart immediately became excited. Not only him, but the people of the Eight Harmonies sect also felt the same way. Everyone yearned for powerful magic treasure and countless cultivation resources. With these things, they would be able to increase their strength at a faster speed than ordinary people. However, after the Six Uniques Palace was over, before they could even continue to savor the pleasure, Su Yun gave the order to retreat, causing them to feel extremely disappointed. What is it? Are you reluctant? Or could it be that my order to retreat was not thorough enough, and you don't want to leave anymore. Su Yun's face suddenly darkened, and his voice immediately became ice cold. The bone-chilling voice drilled into the two's ears, adding to Su Yun's sudden burst of power. It directly forced the two of them to kneel on the ground. "My lord, that's not what we meant. My lord, please calm your anger. Cut the crap. No matter how many treasures there are, they are just worldly possessions. This operation is stopped. No objections are allowed." Su Yun snorted. "If you disobey my orders, kill immediately." "Yes, sir." The people at the side, led by the round demon, immediately shouted out. When the crowd heard this, how could they dare to say anything else? They could only follow Su Yun's instructions and take a detour. The vast and mighty army reorganized themselves. The group of people in charge reorganized themselves and followed Su Yun to the right. This distorted space was extremely long, and it was overflowing with a powerful spatial aura. If this was man-made, then the person who used this immortal technique must be an extremely powerful immortal. His strength was probably even stronger than a big shot of the immortal sect, like Qin Xianlong, and he was proficient in this kind of spatial immortal technique. Now, Su Yun hoped that the distorted space was not man-made, because if it was man-made, then there was no doubt that it was done by the immortal court, and right now, only the immortal court could send out such a powerful immortal. "Big brother." Just at this moment, a series of hurried shouts suddenly came from behind. Su Yun immediately turned his head and looked towards the source of the voice. Su Luluo, who was dressed in blue, flew over anxiously. Everyone gave way to her. Her movements were hurried, her face was pale white, and her eyes were filled with anxiety. Seeing that, Su Yun's heart suddenly started to beat faster. In her hand was a round crystal ball. This was the magic treasure she used to contact the people in the immortal court. "What happened?" Su Yun asked. Su Luluo gasped for breath and said, "The people from the immortal court have moved." As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. "Moved? What do you mean? Did they send experts to chase after us?" Xiang Yang asked anxiously. "No." Su Luluo stared at the jewel in his hand and said in a low voice, "The immortal court has sent an urgent message. The immortal court has gathered 3,000 experts under the orders of the Prime Minister and entered the leaping platform." Leaping platform? Many people did not quite understand. What is this? However, Su Yun suddenly understood. As the controller of a few immortal sects, how could he not understand the immortal court? He had actually seen all the light platforms around the immortal court's encampment before. In fact, those light platforms were not decorations, and many of them were not used for cultivation. Instead, they had their own uses. The leaping platform was a powerful magic treasure that could directly set up a spatial jump array. All of a sudden, he seemed to have thought of something. He abruptly turned his head and looked at the distorted space not far away. His expression suddenly turned ugly. "Not good. Could it be wong? At this moment, a strange sound suddenly came out from within the distorted space. Following that, the entire area started to shine brightly, and an extremely dense spatial aura surged out like a flood. Within the light, one figure after another could be vaguely seen. Chapter 1076. The halo of light emitted from the distorted space caused everyone to be stunned. The dense spatial aura and the figure that gradually appeared from the halo of light had already made people vaguely guess what was going on. Su Luluo held onto the pearl, stared at the place where the light was being released, took a light breath, and said slowly, "The leaping platform is one of the thousands of light platforms of the immortal court. The leaping platform is extremely huge and belongs to the immortal court space envoy, as long as the immortal court sends people to set up a point, cooperate with the space envoy, and use the leaping platform, they can easily teleport countless people from the immortal court to that point. If Liolua's guess is not wrong, the immortal court has probably already set up dozens or even hundreds of points in this area, and the scouts from the immortal court have reported that this group of people from the immortal court left in a hurry. Obviously, they did not expect Big Brother to notice that something was wrong so quickly, so they had no choice but to gather their strength in advance and used the leaping platform to rush here. Su Yun stared ahead, raised his hand and waved, and said indifferently, "Everyone retreat. All retreat. Everyone retreat." Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, and the rest immediately roared, their voices rippling. More than 200,000 people immediately retreated, but at the same time, they also activated their immortal qi and took out their magic treasure, as though they were about to start a war. The buzzing sound had not stopped, and more figures appeared in the halo of light. The figures gradually walked out, and dense and astonishing immortal qi was also emitted from these figures. The pressure given off by the immortal qi was extremely great, with so much immortal qi converging into a huge mountain of qi. It directly pressed down on the bodies of the 200,000 people, causing them to be unable to breathe. Fourth stage of the spirit profound immortal. An expert of at least the fourth stage of the spirit profound immortal. Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, and the rest widened their eyes. They were already dumbstruck, unable to believe it. This time, the experts that the immortal court had sent out were all experts of the fourth stage of the spirit profound immortal. A total of 3,000 experts of the fourth stage of the spirit profound immortal. Who could believe such a thing? The immortal court is indeed the immortal court. This move of theirs is a huge one. Su Yun's eyes congealed and said indifferently, "These 3,000 spirit profound immortal existences were enough to deal with the 200,000 second and third stage spirit profound immortal existences. Although it was only a difference of one stage, the difference was extremely huge. If Su Yun did not have 200,000 people, but only 20,000, then the following battle would only be a one-sided massacre. My lord." At this moment, the round demon suddenly came over with a hurried expression. Su Yun looked at him, but did not say anything. Yuan Mo cupped his fists and said in a low voice, "Master, Zijin has sent news that the Jingyu Emperor Palace has also moved." Su Yun frowned. It was just as he had guessed. The battle that was originally in a stalemate suddenly came to a halt. All the experts from the startling Feather Emperor Palace and the other major sects, under the leadership of Luo Wuling, are charging over here. Judging from the direction they're heading in, it's clear that they already know we're here. The summoning ability of the Immortal Court is indeed extraordinary. Actually, I have neglected the ability of the Immortal Court in this entire matter. Su Yin took a deep breath and said softly, "Perhaps there is still a misunderstanding between the alliance of immortal sects and the Jingyu Emperor Palace. Everything we did before was not in vain. But if the Immortal Court wants to carry out this operation and request the Jingyu Emperor Palace and the alliance of immortal sects to cooperate, these people will definitely not dare to disobey." Everyone present was well aware of what the Immortal Court represented in the immortal world. How could the Jingyu Emperor Palace and the other sects dare to disobey them? "Master, what should we do this time?" Fortunately, we reacted early and did not go too deep. If we continue to go deeper and get closer to the Jingyu Emperor Palace, the situation would be even worse. Su Yun looked left and right, then looked behind him and said, "Right now, the army is divided into two groups. One group is 150,000 people, and the other group is 50,000 people. 150,000 people will follow me to kill the experts of the Immortal Court, break their formation, and tear open the entrance to prepare to break out of the encirclement. The other 50,000 people will quickly set up a barrier and isolate this place." "Sup a wall?" The round demon frowned. "Master, the people from the Jingyu Emperor Palace shouldn't be able to arrive so quickly, right? Now that we are in the lower realms, is it, right now, the ones we need to guard against are not the people from the Jingyu Emperor Palace. They can only be reinforcements, and they won't be able to make it in half a day, but don't forget the misty, immortal mountain that we just robbed. But there are still 30,000 experts." Su Yin said. Hearing this, the round demon immediately came to a realization. "We don't have much time left. Make the arrangements immediately. I'll go stall for time and tell everyone to prepare. We're about to break out of the encirclement." With that said, Su Yin activated the Imperial Battle Robe, completely concealing his own qi. At the same time, a pitch-black cloak appeared, covering his body, pulling down the brim of his hat, covering his face, and flying forward. Almost all of the people from the immortal court flew out of the distorted area. When the last person flew out, the distorted area had completely disappeared. These people lined up in a row, like a human wall that could never be crossed, blocking the way in front of the crowd. At this time, a tall man slowly walked out from the group of people. The man was handsome and wore a grayish-brown robe. However, what was eye-catching was that one side of his eyes had a sun-shaped rune, while the other side had a crescent rune. It was extremely magical, and his skin was extremely pale, but his right arm was pitch black, like the night sky. This is the Immortal Court's Prime Minister Envoy, Yuan Tianya. He is able to calculate fate and pry into a person's life. He is especially amazing. Qin Xianlong, who was at the side, had obviously heard of this person before and immediately whispered into Su Yun's ear. Su Yun nodded and did not make a sound. The people on Su Yun's side were obviously anxious and uneasy, all of them looking at the Immortal Court with shock, fear, confusion, and hesitation in their eyes. As for the people from the Immortal Court, they looked at them with arrogant and disdainful expressions. Many of them even had disgust on their faces. The Immortal Court's Prime Minister Envoy, Yuan Tianya, spoke. This is not a good thing. At the very least, this is against the rules of the Immortal Realm. Who are you? Tell us your name and don't resist. Come with us to the Immortal Court. That way, we can avoid a massacre, isn't it? The morality of the people of the Immortal Court is quite clear. Su Yun said indifferently, I am only doing something that you all cannot do. Although this is indeed against the rules of the Immortals, if you blindly follow the rules of the Immortals, sometimes, even if you know that some people are wrong, you still can't control them, right? The Immortal Court is acting according to the rules. Outsiders have no right to say anything. If you are not satisfied, you can look for us. Yuan Tianya said. Although it was a simple sentence, it completely explained the tyranny and power of the Immortal Court. I can't beat you. Su Yun replied directly. Then you should submit. The Immortal Court represents justice. You mean you want us to submit to justice? Isn't that so? Sure. Su Yun said straightforwardly. However, on the surface, I submit to you, but secretly do some things that violate the rules of the Immortals. Can you tolerate that? How can I tolerate that? Didn't the Jingyu Imperial Palace and the other Alliance immortal sects submit to your Immortal Court on the surface? But in secret, they attacked the Peerless sect, seized the body of a god, and even colluded with the power of the myriad realms to create chaos in the Immortal Court. Since you can deduce our current location through fate, then it should be impossible for you not to know about these things. Why do you tolerate these things that violate the rules of the Immortals? Su Yun said. Just a moment ago, Kai Tian had already contacted all the spies stationed at the side of the Alliance Immortal sects. Almost all of the Alliance Immortal sects had such a distorted space around them, which meant that no matter where they retreated, they would be intercepted by the people of the Immortal Court. From the very beginning, the people of the Immortal Court had already had their eyes on them. We do know that the Jingyu Imperial Palace is planning to seize the body of a god. Not to mention the Jingyu Imperial Palace, there are still many tigers and wolves in the Immortal Court who covet the body of a god. However, knowing is one thing, doing is another. Then why didn't you do it? This is a matter of our Immortal Court. You have no right to interfere. Then why did you interfere with us today? Su Yun said indifferently. Since you do not plan to destroy these people who are peeping at the body of a god, then let us do it for you. What? Yuan Tianya frowned. Are you related to the Peerless sect? Or is it related to the body of a god? Su Yun smiled slightly. It's all related. Hee, don't try to deceive me. Although the conditions for activating my divination technique are extremely harsh, it is still possible to use this technique to peek at you. Then why don't you urge it? Why are you asking me? Su Yun said, this kind of spell that could peek at one's fate could not be activated easily. At the very least, it had to be accumulated over time. After all, this was an immortal technique that went against the natural order of the heavens. Yuan Tianya frowned and did not say anything else. Obviously, Su Yun's guess was correct. Although the Immortal Court already knows who has been spying on the body of a god for a long time, they have yet to make a move. If my guess is not wrong, someone from the Immortal Court must have done something to stop them from punishing the people from the Jinyu Imperial Palace, right? In such a huge Immortal Court, there are good people and loyal people, but I do not believe that there are none of those treacherous people. I do not know who you are, but from the fact that you have put in so much effort to protect the Jinyu Imperial Palace and come here to encircle us, it can be seen that you seem to be interested in the body of God. Su Yin said again. With that said, he stared at Yuan Tianya. Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, Yuan Tianya's expression suddenly changed. You, don't speak nonsense. The Jinyu Imperial Palace has already begun to punish us, and Lin Yujing has also been brought into the Immortal Court. Then why hasn't Lin Yujing's verdict come out yet? Why is Luo Wuling only guarding the Jinyu Imperial Palace and not continuing to investigate? There are many suspicious points in this matter, and there are still many things that need to be discussed and investigated. How could it be so easy? Yuan Tianya was no longer calm. Although he knew that Su Yin was just guessing, but all of his guesses, without exception, were all correct. Even if there was no evidence, Yuan Tianya's heart still felt as if there was a thorn in it, and it did not feel good. Perhaps even Luo Wuling did not know about this matter, but he knew that Lin Yujing also knew that the power of these immortal sects would still be useful in the future, and he could not allow these powers to be destroyed like this. Thinking about how a mysterious force was taking advantage of the situation to wantonly swallow the other immortal sects in the past few years, he started to worry. Adding on the confusion of the Peerless Sect incident, he couldn't help but calculate his fate and lose a large amount of his immortal lifespan. That was why the Immortal Court had taken action this time. I don't want to waste any more words with stubborn people like you. Since you are unwilling to obediently follow us to the Immortal Court, then don't blame me. Yuan Tianya raised his hand and bellowed. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill. He was not planning to leave anyone alive. Chapter 1077. Yuan Tianya was obviously angered by Su Yun's questioning and did not plan to bring these people to the Immortal Court to slowly interrogate them. In fact, Su Yun knew that even if he really went to the Immortal Court with them, these people might not be able to survive. However, since Yuan Tianya had already chosen to take action, there was no reason for Su Yun to be afraid. Even if the opponent was strong, it was not impossible for him to fight. At least he could not lose in terms of momentum. Crash! A burst of immortal chi shot out from Su Yun's palm, silently approaching Yuan Tianya. At the same time, his left hand formed a seal. The sword sheath quickly trembled. Following that, a large number of flying swords flew towards Yuan Tianya like a torrent. The clanging sounds of the swords shook the world, and the sword shadows pierced the eyes of the people around them, causing them to be unable to open their eyes. Such a sharp sword intent was simply shocking to the eyes of the surrounding people. Before Yuan Tianya could see the sword image clearly, he sensed that everything around him had suddenly become illusory and misty. The people around him suddenly disappeared, and everything became distorted. Illusion technique? Yuan Tianya frowned. What a brilliant illusion technique to be able to be used without a sound. Powerful, but it's useless against me. With that said, Yuan Tianya suddenly extended his hand and reached into the air in front of him. He actually pulled out a long and slender crystal sword from the air. He held the sword with one hand and raised it high up, his expression extremely solemn. Let the sword of destiny cut through all of this hypocrisy. As his voice fell, the sword called Destiny immediately slashed down, and the surrounding illusions were instantly torn into two halves by the sword edge, disappearing into thin air. However, the moment the illusion technique was broken, what entered Yuan Tianya's eyes were countless flying swords. Limitless sword arts. In that instant, Yuan Tianya recognized the ferocious imperial sword technique. Back then, the sword ancestor had roamed the world unhindered, so he had naturally passed through the immortal realm. Pucci, 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 the current Su Yun, with his high cultivation, regardless of whether it was speed or strength, was no longer the same as before. Each of the thousands of sharp swords was like a ray of light, and when they flew at full speed, they could no longer see their original appearances, leaving behind only beams of light and waves of bone-chilling sword intent. The 1,000 swords slashed at Yuan Tianya's body in a frenzy. In an instant, Yuan Tianya's body was filled with sword wounds and fresh blood seeped out, looking extremely horrifying. However, this phenomenon caused Su Yun to frown. My defense has been broken? This was impossible. These experts of the Immortal Court were all at the 4th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm. As the envoy of the Immortal Court, Yuan Tianya's cultivation was definitely above this. At the very least, he should be at the 5th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm. These attacks would at most consume his immortal chi. But in the next second, Yuan Tianya made a move. Although he was covered in cuts and bruises, he acted as if nothing had happened. He raised the Sword of Fate again and swung it down. There were no flashy moves, no sharp sword aura. It was just a casual swing, but Poochie Su Yun's body suddenly trembled. A large number of sword scars appeared on his body, blood splattered everywhere, and an intense tearing sensation filled his entire body. Looking at Yuan Tianya, the current him could not even see a single sword wound on his body. He had actually used the Sword of Fate to transfer the injuries on his body to Su Yun's body. Even the Imperial Battle Robe couldn't defend against this kind of damage. In just a single exchange, Su Yun was injured. This long-awaited feeling of pain caused his heart to tighten uncontrollably. In the past, no matter who he faced, Su Yun had never suffered a loss. But now, he had directly seen blood. Su Yun, be careful. There's something wrong with his sword. Just then, Ling Qingyu's voice came out from the sword sheath. Su Yun nodded his head. Ling Qingyu's current cultivation might not be strong, but her eyesight was unparalleled. Even immortals could see through it. He glanced at the resplendent and sparkling longsword. The chi that was being emitted from the sword did not seem like sword intent at all. It was mysterious and profound, and he could not tell what kind of chi it was. He took a deep breath, his eyes filled with malevolence as he swept his gaze across Yuan Tianya. Yuan Tianya did not want to waste any time and directly rushed toward Su Yun. The sparkling and resplendent Sword of Fate was once again raised high by him. But this time, it was as if the sun and moon were alternating and the stars were twisting. It was as if there was a universe that no one had ever seen before on the tip of his sword. Collapse! Yuan Tianya bellowed and slashed down with his sword. Crack! 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 Almost at the same time, the space around Su Yun suddenly shattered. The shattered area quickly spread, directly surrounding his body. The divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe quickly activated. When a shattered area was about to touch his body, it was immediately eliminated by the divine power, but at the same time that the Imperial Battle Robe eliminated the power of destruction, it was also crazily consuming the immortal power in Su Yun's body. If he were to fight head-on with his immortal power, Su Yun would not be a match for him. He was only at the 3rd stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm, and was far from being a match for Yuan Tianya, who was at the 5th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm. If he continued to hesitate, he would definitely lose. Su Yun clenched his teeth. He looked around and realized that Qin Qianlong and the rest were also fighting with all their might. No one was relaxed. At the back of the army, a large number of immortals appeared. These people were the people who had rushed over from the misty Immortal Mountain to support the Immortal Court. Although Su Yun had asked the Round Demon to set up a barrier, the barrier would not be able to hold on for long. There was no time. If he was defeated and captured, his identity as a devil cultivator would still be exposed. Since that was the case, he could only take the initiative. Su Yun took a deep breath and immediately activated the Devil Saint's Devil Soul. Although he was facing the people of the Immortal Court, he could not care less. With the activation of the Devil Saint's Devil Soul, a large amount of devil chi immediately surged out of his body. In fact, from the very beginning, Su Yun had been worried. If he could not kill these immortals, then once he used the power of the Devil Saint's Devil Soul, the true Devil Realm would be completely exposed, and the true Devil Realm that had always kept a low profile would definitely attract the attention of the Immortal Court and even the immortal world. If the immortal court issued an edict requesting the various great sects of the immortal court to join forces and exterminate the true devil realm, then perhaps no one would be able to save the true devil realm. Although the current true devil realm had developed at an astonishing speed that was hard to describe with words with Su Yun's help, compared to the immortal court, the difference in strength between the true devil realm and the immortal court was more than just 108,000 miles. It would be best if he could not expose his identity as a devil cultivator, but right now, the battle was already at a complete disadvantage. At this point, I can only kill these people from the immortal court. Su Yun's face revealed a sinister look. He clenched his teeth and completely activated the power of the Devil Saint's Devil Soul. In that instant, his immortal chi boiled to its peak, and his power also reached an unprecedented peak. His entire aura also broke through all the pressure from the immortal court, and with the power of a single person, he pushed back all of the immortal court's aura. What? Yuan Tianya's expression changed. The people from the immortal court also looked at the current Su Yun in shock. No one could believe that the current Su Yun had changed so much. This aura, it's actually still growing. This is devil chi? But this power? What's going on? Yuan Tianya's eyes widened as he looked at Su Yun in shock. Devil cultivator. Devil cultivator. Here, there was actually a devil cultivator. In this immortal world, a devil cultivator had actually appeared. And it was even a devil cultivator with such a powerful devil chi. Are you from the true devil realm? Yuan Tianya almost couldn't believe what he was seeing. His eyes were filled with shock. He was not only shocked by Su Yun's power, but more so by his identity. Since ancient times, immortals and demons had never coexisted. However, the demons that people knew of had long since declined. But why was the one in front of him so powerful? Yuan Tianyan no longer knew what methods the current Su Yun had, but he knew that the current person was no longer in existence that he could contend against. Previously, he could not see through him, but he knew that it was only because Su Yun had a magic treasure in his hands, and it was the magic treasure that concealed his cultivation. But now it was different, and the reason why he could not see through his cultivation was because his strength was too high. This must have been created through the support of some magic treasure or immortal technique. This kind of power is not your source energy. Yuan Tinya took a light breath and said, "Since it's not your own power, then, in front of my sword of destiny, all of this is completely useless." With that, Yuan Tinya raised his hand and waved his sword again, preparing to strike. But in the next second, whiz, a swift figure suddenly appeared in front of Yuan Tianya. Before Yuan Tianya could even react, he saw the guy who was emitting a dense devil chi standing in front of him. He didn't know what had happened, nor did he know what the other party had done, but he could sense that in that instant, the other party had already launched an attack. What kind of realm was that? Even he, a fifth-stage spirit profound immortal, could not catch the other party's movements? How is this possible? Crack! At this moment, a clear sound rang out. Yuan Tinya turned pale with fright. He anxiously turned his head to look, only to see that the sword in his hand had actually broken at this moment. It turned out that the moment Su Yun got close to him, he had already cut the death sword in his hand towards the sword of destiny. With the support of the spirit god's power, the ferocious and terrifying death sword was invincible. Yuan Tianya did not even have the time to react before his technique was broken. Pucci. With the magic treasure broken, Yuan Tianya's body shook violently. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 1078. Bang! Under the crisis, Yuan Tianya also ignited some kind of spell, and a gray-white smoke exploded between Su Yun and him. Then the two of them retreated violently. Su Yun had retreated less than 100 meters, while Yuan Tianya's body was tumbling in the air. If it wasn't for an expert of the immortal court, who had quick eyes and quick hands, who rushed to support Yuan Tianya's tumble would not have ended. At this moment, there was blood at the corner of Yuan Tianya's mouth, and his disheveled appearance was completely different from the carefree and unrestrained appearance he had before. At this moment, he seemed to be in a sorry state. Seeing Yuan Tianya's reaction, The people of the immortal court and the other immortal sects were all dumbfounded. The people of the immortal court shuddered and shivered. Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, Wei Ming, and Kai Tian were even more shocked. Their eyes widened like a bull's, as if they were about to fall out of their sockets. The dignified minister of the immortal court, Yuan Tianya, who could see the future and peek into the past, was being beaten like a stray dog by Su Yin. This person, how strong was he? Could it be that he could already fight against the immortal court? When Yuan Tianya appeared, almost everyone's heart was shrouded by an inexplicable fear, because it was not only Yuan Tianya, but also an envoy of the immortal court. There were many grades in the immortal court, and each grade had its envoys. Existences like Yuan Tianya, who could use immortal arts to look into fate, were called prime minister envoys. Those who could be respectfully called envoys were all outstanding existences in the immortal court. Ordinary immortals couldn't possibly be enemies with such existences. Even the great sects of immortal sects might not be his match. People like Qin Qianlong and Xing Bai might have a chance of winning if they relied on numbers. But if it was a one-on-one battle, they were definitely not a match for Yuan Tianya. But today, the existence that everyone thought was high and mighty and unchallengeable had been reduced to such a sorry state. In that moment, when Qin Qianlong and the rest looked at Su Yun again, their hearts were filled with worship and respect. Good, cough, good. Yuan Tianya coughed violently, wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth, and steadied his body. He pushed away the people of the immortal court who were supporting him and stared at Su Yun with surprise and anger in his eyes. I never thought that such a powerful devil cultivator would already appear in the true devil realm. Very good, very good. Although he was speaking, Su Yun did not pay any attention to him. The current Su Yun had already activated the Devil Saint's devil soul. Then, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to wipe out all of the people from the immortal court. Otherwise, he and the true devil realm would face a calamity. So. A great number of sharp swords rushed toward Yuan Tianya like a torrent, forming an encirclement. Every single sword was bestowed with powerful immortal qi by Su Yun. If the other people from the immortal court were to be struck by any one of these thousands of flying swords, they would either die on the spot or be severely injured. Dong, 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 dong. As expected, Yuan Tianya's body was like a piece of paper on a window. After it was pierced through, it immediately became tattered. In the blink of an eye, it was like a fishing net. There were holes everywhere, and he no longer looked like a human. If he hadn't used his immortal qi to seal the wounds on his body in time, he would probably have died from this move. Sir, the people of the immortal court immediately shouted. However, Yuan Tianya could still make a sound in this state. He seemed to have used his last bit of strength to shout, "Protect me!" Almost all the people of the immortal court who were fighting with Qin Qianlong and the others immediately gave up on the opponents in front of them and rushed towards Yuan Tianya crazily. They formed a human wall and gathered in one place, 3 on the inside and 3 on the outside. At this moment, a huge bell suddenly floated behind Yuan Tianya, who was in the inner space. The bell started to sway left and right, releasing waves of melodious bell sounds, and Yuan Tianya's tattered body, at this moment, also overflowed with a large amount of light, like a miracle. This huge bell allowed his life, which was like a candle in the wind, to be extended for a short period of time. Destroy them all. A cold and cruel voice came out from the corner of Su Yun's mouth. With a wave of her hand, the thousands of flying swords immediately reassembled and stacked together, forming an incomparably huge sword. With a loud bang, under his control, it directly slashed towards them. The earth-shattering sword seemed to want to cut the bright and vast sky into pieces. The people of the immortal court who gathered around Yuan Tianya opened their eyes wide, looking at the descending sword. At this moment, the arrogance on their faces had already disappeared without a trace, replaced by fear and disbelief. Wung, wung, wung. The sword current let out a rolling roar like that of a wild beast and immediately slashed down. Xingbai and the others saw that all the people of the immortal court, without exception, were all swallowed by the sword current. The ferocious sword intent was like a butcher's knife, crazily slashing at those who were being devoured. The sword qi accompanied the sword intent danced in the midst of the flying flesh and blood. Among the roars brought out by the sword current, there was also an extremely miserable howl. These people of the immortal court were all suppressed by Su Yun's attack. Everyone, what are you still standing there for? Quickly seal all the fluctuations of immortal qi in this area and completely suppress this place. Cooperate with the Lord and crush them all. Wei Ming was the first to react and immediately cast a technique and shouted loudly. When Kai Tian, Xingbai, and the others heard this, how could they still be stunned on the spot? This was the best time to kill these people from the immortal court. In an instant, all the immortals took action, and countless immortal techniques shot out from all directions like raindrops, dyeing the blue sky with all sorts of colors, making it look especially beautiful. However, when these spells collided with the crowd that was engulfed by the sword images and sword currents, the intense turbulence was enough to cause the expressions of everyone present to change. That area was directly attacked by hundreds of thousands of immortals, and the terrifying explosions were even more concentrated than firecrackers. The intense turbulence directly distorted the space, and the appearance of the people inside could no longer be seen clearly. The colorful halos completely filled up everything there, and even the sword images of Su Yun's sword could not be seen. The intense turbulence lasted for an entire 50 breaths of time before it slowly stopped. When the last loud sound stopped, everyone's hearts couldn't help but jump. Nearly 200,000 pairs of eyes looked over at the same time. The scene in front of them was truly something they had never seen before. The space there had already been completely distorted and smashed to smithereens. The figures of the immortal court people had long since disappeared. Along with the explosion, they turned into dust and were completely annihilated. However, in the distorted space, in the middle of the dust that had yet to disperse, there was still a person standing. There was a person with sword holes all over his body. His broken figure was especially eye-catching in this empty, distorted space. Yuan Tianya. He's actually not dead yet. Many people cried out in alarm. Facing such an attack, he actually didn't die. Su Yun also frowned. With so many immortals attacking, unless it was someone of his current realm, he would be able to ignore it. Otherwise, even if other immortals didn't die, they would still be heavily injured. However, looking at the current Yuan Tianya, it seemed that the attack just now hadn't even landed on his body. Upon closer inspection, it turned out that around Yuan Tianya, there was actually a layer of faint gray light. This gray light was like a ripple, constantly fluctuating around him. Any matter that got close to this ripple would be immediately bounced away, unable to enter at all. Su Yun's eyes flashed, his fingers moved again, and the thousands of sharp swords immediately rushed towards Yuan Tianya. Pooh! 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 The sharp swords hit the ripple barrier, producing the sound of stones falling into water, and then all of them were bounced back, unable to harm Yuan Tianya at all. Inside, Yuan Tianya had his eyes closed, his hands quickly forming hand seals, and no one knew what kind of immortal technique he was using. So that's how it is. Su Yun waved his hand, and all the flying swords flew back into his sword sheath. He held onto the death sword and slowly flew towards Yuan Tianya. However, his eyes could see through everything. You want your subordinates to cover for you so that you can use techniques to protect yourself? Sacrificing the lives of your subordinates to protect yourself. I always thought that the people of the immortal court wouldn't do such a thing, but from the looks of it today, it seems that I was wrong. You don't have to talk nonsense. Yuan Tianya opened his eyes, his expression extremely sinister. Using evil techniques to increase your strength. Despicable. The immortal court will not let a devil cultivator like you go. Very soon, you will disappear into thin air. A roar came out from Yuan Tianya's tattered mouth. Su Yun snorted. He was too lazy to waste words. He raised the death sword and rushed forward. The pitch-black death sword burst out with a boundless black light. However, just then, Yuan Tianya seemed to have completed his immortal technique and only heard him roar 3 times. Ah, ah, ah. Then, he waved his hands in the air, and a circle of ripples shot out from his hands, striking the space above him. In an instant, the space distorted, forming a huge vortex. "Master, be careful." The round demon felt that something was wrong and immediately shouted. What a dense spatial aura. Could it be? Sululuo also noticed that something was amiss. After thinking for a moment, his small face became extremely pale and anxiously shouted at Su Yun, "Big brother, he might be asking for help from the immortal court. Be careful." But the current Su Yun was already like an arrow on a bow. He had no choice but to release it. The other immortal court people were already dead, and if he killed Yuan Tianya, he would be able to end everything. The Death Sword's blade was aimed straight at Yuan Tianya's head. He was wearing the Imperial Battle Robe, so even if Yuan Tianya had the protection of the Qi barrier, he would not be able to block Su Yun. With this sword strike, Yuan Tianya would definitely die. It was just that, at this moment of imminent peril, from the whirlpool in the sky, a ray of blue light suddenly descended and directly struck Su Yun's body. In that moment, Su Yun felt the power in his body retreating at astonishing speed. In less than 3 breaths of time, he had returned to the 3rd stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal. What? Su Yun turned pale with fright. Chapter 1079. Su Yun looked at his own hands in shock, feeling the qi that was leaking out of his body. But all the signs were telling him that the power of the Devil Saint and Devil Soul that he had urged had disappeared without a trace. What's going on? How could this be? Su Yun frowned. His face was as gloomy as charcoal. If he lost the power of the Devil Saint and Devil Soul at this time, then he would not have any capital to fight against the Immortal Court. What a dense spatial qi. Su Yun, you might have been hit by the opponent's time acceleration immortal technique, which caused your Devil Saint and Devil Soul's power to disappear. Just as Su Yun was at a loss and did not know what was going on, Ling Qingyu spoke again from the sword sheath. Time acceleration? Yes, I'm afraid this technique came from the person that person summoned. Ling Qingyu said in a low voice. Your surroundings are filled with a large amount of strange qi. This qi accelerates time, although it is only effective in this area. But it is enough if a mortal stays in this area for a second. I am afraid that they will turn from a baby to an old man. And it is the same for you. Because of the acceleration of time, the Devil Saint and Devil Soul's power in your body has ended early, which is why there is such an effect. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart sank. If that was the case, then there was no solution, because according to common sense, if he did not wait for a few months, he would not be able to urge the Devil Saint and Devil Soul again. If it was in the Immortal Seeking sect, Su Yun would choose to enter a special space world to cultivate for a few months, and outside, it would only take a few days for him to absorb enough energy to urge the Devil Saint and Devil Soul. But from the looks of it, he could no longer rely on the Devil Saint and Devil Soul to decide the outcome of the battle. Clang! In the sky, the whirlpool spun faster and faster. In the spinning diagram, a large number of immortal figures floated out, accompanied by a dense spatial qi. Spatial qi. To the spirit cultivator, this had always been a powerful and mysterious qi. He remembered that when he was cultivating in the sky martial continent, everyone's profound qi had different attributes. Even the sword ancestor had once cultivated the pure divine spirit qi. But regardless of whether it was the mainstream qi or the pure divine spirit qi, they were not as strong as the spatial qi that could control time and space. It was not that Su Yun had never heard of this power, but he knew more about the price of using this power. In the blink of an eye, 8,000 people had already flown out of the vortex. Every single one of these people exuded an uncontrollable spatial aura. When they all appeared, it was as if the entire area was under their control. When the vortex gradually disappeared, the last person finally walked out of the strange space vortex. This was a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure but heavy makeup. The woman was wearing a blood-red dress with snake eyes and red lips. She looked extremely enchanting. She held a crystal-clear bead in one hand, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. She slowly walked forward from the other end of the whirlpool. With every step she took, it seemed as if the soft flesh of her body would tremble, and it would make people's mouths dry and tongue-tied, as if they were bathing in fire. In the crowd, there were already people who recognized the woman who had just arrived. Immortal Court's space-time envoy, Lord Empty Spirit. The shouts continued, and Su Yun could hear them clearly. Space-time envoy, another supreme expert of the Immortal Court, Wen Yuan Tianya, who was already covered in wounds, saw the person who walked out. His face immediately revealed a look of joy. His dim eyes were filled with excitement. He anxiously walked forward, cupped his fists, and said, "Greetings, Lord Empty Spirit." "Ayaya, Lord Yuan, what's going on with you? How did you end up in such a sorry state? It's too tragic. It's too tragic." Empty Spirit's snake eyes glanced at Yuan Tianya and immediately covered his mouth and laughed. Facing Empty Spirit's mocking words, Yuan Tianya did not reveal the slightest bit of anger, but instead scolded Su Yun. "Lord Empty Spirit, it's not that I'm useless this time. It's that the thief is too cunning." Tianya was careless and suffered a loss. "Cunning?" Empty Spirit's snake eyes swept across Su Yun's expression, who was holding onto the death sword and dressed in a pitch-black cloak. Her eyes flashed with a cold light. "That's right, a devil cultivator. And with that kind of method, if I hadn't sacrificed a disciple's life in time to activate a powerful immortal technique to speed up the flow of time, I'm afraid you would have died here." Sacrifice a disciple. Yuan Tianya was stunned. His technique is too powerful, and ordinary space-time techniques are unable to break his technique. For this, I had no choice but to use a disciple's soul as a medium to activate the Great Void technique and end his technique ahead of time. So that's how it is. Yuan Tianya nodded and did not say anything else. The lords are all in a meeting, and coincidentally, I'm on duty today. After receiving your request for help, I rushed here at top speed. I never thought that the person causing trouble today would actually be a devil cultivator. Very good. Very good, Lord Yuan. Today we will work together to take down this person and present him in front of the lords. I believe that you and I will be rewarded quite a bit. Empty Spirit's eyes narrowed, and the coldness did not diminish. If Lord Empty Spirit is willing to help me, I will naturally not dare to accept any of this credit. It's just that my current appearance, what's a small injury like this? With a charming laugh, she suddenly extended her hand and grabbed towards the heart of the disciple beside her. Her movements were extremely fast. Before the disciple could even react, his heart was dug out by Empty Spirit. Not only was the bright red heart taken out, even the soul in his body was pulled out. The disciple didn't even have time to scream before his body fell from the sky and landed on the cloud below. Upon seeing this, the surrounding disciples were indifferent. Empty Spirit crushed the heart, closed her eyes, and moved her red lips, as though she was chanting some sort of chant. The soul with the heart was struggling frantically in her palm, but there seemed to be a layer of imprisonment around the soul, and no matter how much it struggled, it could not break free. She was still activating her celestial technique, and the soul slowly disappeared into her empty palm. In the end, it turned into a light blue orb. As she raised her hand slightly, the blue orb flew out and landed on Yuan Tianya's head. The orb exploded, and a blue drizzle fell on Yuan Tianya's broken body. In an instant, Yuan Tianya's body started recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was not only his body, even the clothes on his body were recovering at a rapid speed. Time reversal? Ling Qing, you seem to have sensed the changes in Yuan Tianya through the sword sheath, and could not help but exclaim. Using the life of a disciple who is proficient in space-time immortal arts as the price to activate this technique. Although it is magical, it is also too cruel. Su Yun stared at the Empty Spirit and realized that the disciples around her were all expressionless, as though they were already used to this kind of thing. Yuan Tianya had already recovered to his uninjured state, and with the help of Kong Ling and the other experts of the Immortal Court, the current power of the Immortal Court was no longer something Su Yun could contend against. He did not even have the Devil Saint Devil Soul as his last resort, and it was already extremely difficult for him to fight against Yuan Tianya. So how could he fight against a powerful immortal like Kong Ling, who could control time? Looks like there's no way out. Su Yun took a deep breath and said indifferently, "The only thing we can do now is to retreat." Su Luluo flew over from afar, staring at the people of the Immortal Court. He spoke to Su Yun. "Retreat? Even if we escape back to the Devil Realm, it will be useless. If we do not wipe out all of these people today, I'm afraid that before long, the experts of the Immortal Realm will attack the true Devil Realm. With the current situation of the true Devil Realm, it is impossible for them to be a match for the Immortal Realm, and I'm afraid that a mere Immortal Court is enough to destroy the true Devil Realm." Su Yun said. "Then what should we do?" Su Luluo said in a low voice, "It's not right to leave. It's not right to stay either. If this goes on, are we just going to die here? We can leave if we want." Su Yun thought for a moment, then said, "But we can't just leave like this. What are your plans?" Su Luluo asked. Su Yun turned his head to look at the sword sheath behind him and asked, "I once entered the true Devil Sect's ancient tomb, and there are a large number of treasures left behind by the strong demons. Among them, there is no lack of divine arts that can shake the heavens and the earth, especially a spell called the Fleeting Shadow Art, which can allow me to easily face any expert. If we were to retreat like this today, I'm afraid nothing will change, but if we were to go all out, we might still have a chance of winning." Although he did not have the Devil Saint Devil Soul, Su Yun knew that he could not blindly rely on the Devil Saint Devil Soul. Sometimes the other techniques on his body could also bring him unexpected results. "Qingyu, what's wrong?" Ling Qingyu's voice sounded in Su Yun's mind. "Can the sword sheath trap a spirit immortal?" Su Yun asked in a low voice. "Difficult." Ling Qingyu shook her head. "Although it is said to be trapping, it is actually using my strength to trap. This is a very difficult thing to do. After all, my current cultivation is not high. If I were to let a spirit immortal in alone, I am afraid I would be killed by him. Then if I throw in other spirit immortal existences to help you, can you do it?" "Who?" "Faceless." Su Yun growled. In that moment, Faceless, who was still fighting bravely in the crowd, immediately rushed towards Su Yun. "Master," Faceless called out, but Su Yun did not say a word. He removed the sword sheath and slapped it towards Faceless. A ray of light enveloped Faceless' body, and his body was immediately engulfed by the light, disappearing without a trace. This person, although he is strong, it is definitely not enough to deal with Yuan Tianya and Kong Ling. Ling Qingyu's voice came out again. "Wei Ming, only heaven." "Xingbai, Qin Qianlong," Su Yun shouted again. Hearing that, the few of them immediately moved towards Su Yun. Kong Ling and Yuan Tianya, who were in the distance, saw that Su Yun had already moved, although they did not know what he was doing. The two of them felt that it was not a good thing. Kong Ling immediately made a decision and shouted, "Capture the Devil Cultivator alive. Kill the rest. Leave no one alive. Kill." With that said, the disciples behind him all activated their techniques, and their bodies disappeared at almost the same time. When they reappeared, they were already in the middle of a few celestial sect people and began to wantonly slaughter them. This was a spatial teleportation technique. Everyone did not even have time to react before they were struck by the butcher's knife. They were caught unprepared, and streams of blood erupted in the crowd. Chapter 1080. Kong Ling was an expert in space-time techniques. She could control time and travel through space-time, and was a very special envoy in the Immortal Court. The 8,000 disciples that she had nurtured were all proficient in space-time techniques, and with the spatial blades in their hands, they slaughtered crazily, and any armor defense was like paper in front of the spatial blades. These 200,000 people were actually unable to retaliate against the 8,000 people from the Immortal Court. This was no longer just a difference in cultivation, but also a difference in immortal techniques and magic treasure. On Su Yun's side, other than the advantage in numbers, he had nothing else. Furthermore, the people from the Feather Emperor Palace and the other great sects were on their way, and very soon, his advantage would no longer exist. Su Yun knew that time was of the essence, and also understood that if he continued to take it off, he would definitely fall into a state of eternal damnation. If Luo Wuling arrived with the experts of the Feather Emperor Palace and the other great sects, Su Yun would not even have the chance to escape. Time was of the essence. Su Yun clenched his teeth. He kept Kai Tian, Qin Xianlong, Wei Ming, and Xing by into the sword sheath, and then rushed towards the distant Kong Ling and Yuan Tianya. What kind of trick is this? Yuan Tianya frowned. No matter what tricks he plays, it doesn't matter. Lord Yuan, let's go. Don't tell me you want a little girl like me to deal with a big man like him. Kong Ling, who was at the side, covered her mouth and smiled, glanced at Yuan Tianya, and said, "How could I dare to trouble Lord Kong Ling? Leave this mere rat to world's edge." Yuan Tianya cupped his fists towards Kong Ling, then took a step forward and rushed towards Su Yun. Kong Ling's time reversal technique did not go back to before the Sword of Fate was destroyed, so Yuan Tianya did not have a sword to use, but this did not mean that he did not have any methods. He took out a palm-sized bell from his sleeve, and when he rushed towards Su Yun, he quickly shook the bell, and circles of gray sound patterns floated out, directly covering Su Yun. However, Su Yun, who was protected by the Imperial Battle Robe, directly ignored this attack. He stared at Yuan Tianya, his expression gradually turning cold. Kong Ling was an expert in space-time techniques. If he did not take care of him, even if he killed Yuan Tianya, it would be useless. Right now, it was better to lock Yuan Tianya up. Furthermore, Yuan Tianya's strength was weaker than Kong Ling's, so the chances of him using the drifting shadow art would be much higher. Thinking about that, Su Yun suddenly opened his eyes wide. The color of his pupils immediately changed. One moment, it became blood red, and the next moment, they became extremely bright. It was extremely strange. Yuan Tianya stared at Su Yun, but at that moment, he suddenly realized that Su Yun's body was actually starting to flicker. Yuan Tianya felt that something was wrong and immediately increased the ringing of the bell in his hand. But no matter how he shook the bell, the sound of the bell could not touch Su Yun at all. What happened? Suddenly, Yuan Tianya felt that his thoughts were in a daze, and when he looked ahead, Su Yun, who should have been there, had actually disappeared. Human? Where is he? Yuan Tianya immediately looked around, searching for Su Yun's whereabouts, but there was no sign of him anywhere. Lord Yuan, what are you doing? Seeing that Yuan Tianya had suddenly stopped, Kong Ling, who was in the distance, frowned and shouted loudly. Why did that person suddenly disappear? Yuan Tianya shouted in a low voice, looking around vigilantly. Furthermore, even his aura has disappeared without a trace. I'm afraid he used some kind of crafty technique again. Disappeared? Kong Ling was shocked. Looking at Su Yun, who was approaching Yuan Tianya, her heart was filled with shock. Seeing that Su Yun was already standing in front of Yuan Tianya, she cried out involuntarily, "Lord Yuan, be careful." But it was too late for her to shout. Crash! A circle of light suddenly enveloped Yuan Tianya, and before he could even react, he was placed into the sword sheath by Su Yun. Faceless, Xing Bai, Qin Xianlong, Kai Tian, and Wei Ming, who were waiting inside the sword sheath's world, immediately joined hands to attack Yuan Tianya. Although Yuan Tianya was powerful and none of them could compare to him, there was an extremely extraordinary existence amongst them. That was Wei Ming. He was once an elder of the Great Ling Long Palace, and was now the head of the Great Ling Long Palace, and had already reached the point of perfection in the Great Ling Long technique. He activated the Great Ling Long technique in an instant, and when he found out about Su Yun's plan, he entered the sword sheath and started to make preparations. The moment Yuan Tianya entered, he immediately invaded Su Yun's heart and saw through all of his thoughts. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Although their strength was not as good as Yuan Tianya's, it was not difficult to trap him. Seeing that Yuan Tianya had disappeared, Kong Ling's heart jumped. Devil Cultivator is a devil cultivator after all. His methods are too strange. Kong Ling snorted, and her expression became serious. But even so, he still can't win against an immortal. With that said, her slender hand quickly moved, and a few strands of space-time chi floated out from her fingertips, flying toward Su Yun. However, just as the chi flew out for less than 100 meters, it suddenly turned into a surging flood, crazily rippling, causing the void to explode and distort. In the blink of an eye, in front of Kong Ling and Su Yun, it was as if the world had been destroyed. The terrifying spatial explosions and distortions immediately isolated the two of them, and Su Yun, who was close, was not spared, and was instantly devoured. Seeing that, Su Yuluo's face turned pale, but she did not dare approach, because at the moment, she could not even protect herself, and could only rely on the Yuan demon and Xiang Yang. If not with her current strength, she would not be able to deal with an immortal. Master, don't panic. Everyone, hold on. When the Lord kills the two immortal court envoys, none of these people will survive. All of you hold on. The round demon shouted loudly. At this time, only he and Xiang Yang could lead everyone. However, it was too miserable now. These 200,000 people against the disciples of the Void Spirit sect. In less than half an incense stick of time, they had already lost 30,000 people, and this was even the elites of the various sections. If it was any ordinary disciple, they would have been annihilated long ago. Moreover, kill two envoys? Was this something an ordinary person could do? How long could he hold on like this? Furthermore, the reinforcements led by Luo Wuling were about to arrive, and the barrier that was blocking the misty immortal mountain could shatter at any time. If the people from a misty immortal mountain were to interfere and attack from the back, then it would be a devastating blow to Su Yun's side. The round demon and Xiang Yang felt immense pressure. At that moment, they could only place their hopes on Su Yun. The spatial explosion gradually subsided, and the distorted space also gradually recovered. The figure that was enveloped once again appeared in front of Kong Ling. However, Kong Ling's pupils dilated as he stared at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Su Yun, who was in the distorted space, was not injured in the slightest. On the contrary, the area around him had been completely flattened, without any signs of distortion. Kong Ling was not an idiot. She immediately understood all of this. You are only at the third stage of the spirit profound immortal realm. Logically speaking, you should not be able to escape this attack, and will definitely be torn to pieces, but you're safe and sound, so the only explanation is that you have an incredible magic treasure on you. However, Su Yun was too lazy to waste words with her. The death sword rushed forward. The mournful sword hiss seemed to want to shatter the heavens. Spatial jump. Just as Su Yun was about to approach Kong Ling used another move, causing the space around Su Yun to suddenly tremble. Following that, his gaze turned, and when he regained his senses, he was already 10,000 miles away. The opponent had forcefully pulled away. Su Yun secretly snorted. He looked over and realized that Kong Ling had already started to use her move. Was he trying to increase the distance between them so that he could use his immortal arts? Su Yun wanted to continue using the fleeting shadow arts, but just as he was about to use it, he felt a wave of dizziness. The fleeting shadow arts was a technique that could not be used continuously. He rolled his eyes, suddenly turned, and directly fled into the distance. Seeing that, Kong Ling frowned. He immediately stopped his spell and chased after Su Yun. While running, Su Yun continuously threw out a few flying swords in the air, the sharp swords circling around his head. So the void spirit finger behind him moved, and hundreds and thousands of spatial energy blades spun towards him. But every time they got close to Su Yun, they would immediately disappear without a trace. Kong Ling's heart sank. But Su Yun was also terrified. The imperial battle robe on his body had a limit. Su Yun's current strength was too lacking compared to Kong Ling. Every time Kong Ling attacked, it would completely empty the immortal chi in his body. If not for the support of the imperial battle robe, he would not have the strength to fight at all. But the divine power of the imperial battle robe was also based on him. After exchanging a few blows, the divine power of the imperial battle robe had already decreased by half. If he didn't settle this quickly, he would definitely die. Let's see where else you can run to. The area in front of Su Yun suddenly became distorted and became blurry. When it became clear, he realized that there was a pitch-black hole in front of him. When Su Yun approached the cave, the immortal qi in his body was like a dam that had burst, crazily flowing into the cave. Not only that, his body also seemed to be pulled by an invisible force, and his entire body could not help but lean towards the cave. If he were to fall into the black hole, he would most likely die without a burial. Kong Ling's move had sealed off his path of escape. Now that things had come to this, he could no longer escape. Su Yun snorted, his body suddenly turned, and with a speed that was close to his limit, he turned around and rushed towards the void spirit behind him. Kong Ling was shocked and immediately cast another spell. But at this time, Su Yun's speed was simply too fast. He appeared in front of Kong Ling in an instant. The mournful death sword slashed down, and at the same time, the imperial battle robe started to frantically absorb the immortal qi from her body. Whiz! The sword tip fell. However, just as it was about to cut into the empty head, it suddenly came to a halt. The sharp sword was stuck in midair, and the position of the sword tip was completely distorted. Kong Ling's face was pale. He was actually using the imperial battle robe to forcefully activate his immortal qi and use an immortal technique. Chapter 1081. In a place like the ultimate martial world, a magic treasure like the imperial battle robe was equivalent to an invincible divine object. Wearing it, even a weak and powerless person would be able to rely on it to be invincible under the heavens. However, in a place like the immortal world where treasures were everywhere, the advantage of the imperial battle robe would not be that great. Although it was still very strong, there was still a difference between it and the ultimate martial world. The opponent he was facing was already very different. The imperial battle robe was more than enough to absorb the profound qi, but for the immortals with such a huge amount of immortal qi, it was too much for them to handle and could only achieve the effect of harassment. If he wanted to completely drain the opponent's immortal qi, with Su Yun's current strength, he was afraid that he would not be able to do it. The sharp sword was blocked by the distorted space. Although the divine power of the imperial battle robe was activated, it was unable to completely purify it and break through the distorted space. However, looking at the pale face of the void spirit, Su Yun knew that the void spirit was not having an easy time either. Although the divine power of the imperial battle robe could not completely devour her immortal qi, it was still of some use. After successfully blocking Su Yun's blade, her ethereal eyes were once again filled with a strong chill. Her expression was sinister. Her fingers moved again, and the space around Su Yun started to distort again. But at this moment, not only was the surrounding space distorted, within the distorted area, there were also countless black holes the size of rice grains. These black holes all had the effect of absorbing immortal energy, and the moment they appeared, they began to devour the immortal energy on Su Yun's body, and even the divine power was partially affected. Just as the distorted space approached, it was counteracted by the divine power. Su Yun did not have much divine power at the moment, but looking at the ethereal immortal energy, it seemed like he could continue to hold on. If this continued, he would definitely lose this battle. He had to control the situation. Su Yun secretly clenched his teeth. He suddenly bowed with both hands. The rune in his hands shot out a bolt of black lightning, straight into the sky. Immediately after, several bolts of lightning struck down, directly landing in the surroundings of the void. Bang! 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 A large amount of devil qi rose up, and a heavy and oppressive roar burst forth from within the devil qi. All 7 Devil Bone Giant-S were summoned. Although Su Yun's strength had increased greatly, relying on the strength of the Devil Bone Giant, he was obviously unable to control a battle of this level. When these giants appeared, Su Yun immediately controlled them to fuse together and transform into Devil Bone Spirit. The gigantic Devil Bone Spirit was like a heavenly pillar that supported the heavens and earth, and the devil qi it emitted was even more astonishing. Relying on Su Yun's surging immortal qi, the fused Devil Bone Spirit possessed an even purer devil energy, and an even more terrifying power. It opened its 7 blood-red eyes and stared at the ant-like Kong Ling. This scene was exceptionally shocking. Kong Ling seemed to have also felt the terror of the devil-bone spirit. He frowned and immediately retreated, distancing himself from Su Yun. How could the huge devil-bone spirit be easily pulled away? When it stretched out its hand, it could detect things that were thousands of miles away. Under Su Yun's signal, the gigantic hand directly moved towards the empty spirit cage. The dense and cold devil chi wrapped around her body tightly. Kong Ling's face turned ugly. He snorted and said, "You want to subdue me with this inferior puppet of the devil realm? What a joke." She flipped her palm, and the crystal ball from before appeared in her palm. She placed her left hand on the crystal ball, closed her eyes, and quickly chanted an incantation. Crash! A huge black hole appeared in front of her. The devil bone spirit's palm directly struck the black hole and immediately crashed into it. It was as if it was a door. Devil Bone's spirit immediately retracted his hand, circled around the black hole, and continued to attack the empty spirit behind him. So at this time, the void spirit once again attacked. A large number of spatial energy blades were like a gust of wind, sweeping towards the Devil Bone's spirit. Countless holes immediately appeared on its pitch-black body. However, the Devil Bone spirit did not feel any pain. At this moment, it only wanted to attack the void spirit with all its might. It did not dodge, nor did it consider whether or not it could defeat it, because this was an order that Su Yun had given it. Attack the other party without a care for anything else. After exchanging a few blows, she realized that although this gigantic creature looked terrifying and its aura was extremely dense, it was far from being able to subdue her. She looked towards Su Yun, who was on top of the Devil Bone spirit's head, but with just a glance, she felt her heart sink. At this moment, Su Yun was surrounded by several flying swords, but there was something wrong with the way these flying swords were flying. Every single sword was trembling crazily and violently. The frequency of their trembling was extremely fast, and they were moving at high speeds. It was hard to imagine that the sword would be able to maintain a uniform flight trajectory when its body was unstable. What was he doing? There was doubt in her eyes, but no matter what Su Yun was doing, she knew that it was definitely not a good thing. "I'm not playing anymore." Kong Ling secretly snorted, her body suddenly moved, and a ripple of space wrapped around her entire body. Following that, she suddenly disappeared, and when she reappeared, she had actually landed on top of the giant's head, in front of Su Yun, and with a lightning-fast speed, he launched an attack towards Su Yun. Su Yun's eyes turned cold. He continued to cast, actually ignoring the attack of the void spirit, and continued to instill his attention and movement into the flying swords around him. "What?" Kong Ling's expression changed slightly as she roared in a low voice. "How dare you? Do you really think that just because you have a few strange magic treasure on you, I won't be able to kill you?" Su Yun did not say a word. With a wave of her palm, a series of vacuum explosions surged around Su Yun's body like firecrackers. The divine power was once again severely exhausted, and Su Yun's body became a little unstable. But he gritted his teeth and continued to strike the flying swords that were spinning rapidly around him. The death sword in his hand was like an electric current, constantly giving the swords kinetic energy. The flying speed of the sharp swords became faster and faster, and they also became more and more trembling. The space around them trembled, and the void explosion activated by the void spirit was actually unable to detonate the space around the sharp swords. It was especially terrifying. She had clearly sensed that the swords around Su Yun were not ordinary. She clenched her teeth and immediately used all of her strength to attack the swords. One long, streaks of bright lightning suddenly shot out from the void. Like venomous snakes pouncing on their prey, they darted towards the sharp swords. However, not only did these bright bolts of lightning not stop the flying swords, they instead made them fly more and more fiercely, more and more berserk. At this time, the power contained in the tip of these swords had already made her extremely fearful. If she could not get rid of Su Yun at this critical juncture, or stop the flying of these swords, then once Su Yun successfully launched his attack, it would be extremely disadvantageous for her. Kong Ling's eyes narrowed slightly, and her white hands hurriedly activated the technique again. She saw the trajectory of those swords rippling with a thick circle of spatial fluctuations. Su Yun, who was still continuously striking the flying sword, sensed this fluctuation, and his face changed. This fluctuation seemed to be the same as the one produced by the Void Spirit's inheritance. It would be extremely difficult for the Void Spirit to stop the flying swords that had been endowed with countless times more brute force, because these sharp swords had already absorbed an indescribable amount of energy. Even if it was the Void Spirit, it would still be extremely difficult to completely stop them. However, as a space-time envoy, how could her methods be so simple? Although she could not stop the flying swords from flying, she could use the space-time teleportation technique to send these flying swords 10,000 miles or even 100,000 miles away. If these attacks were pulled away, what other methods did Su Yun have? Thinking about it, Su Yun's expression turned cold. He did not dare hesitate any longer, and immediately rushed towards the flying sword. All of the power in his body surging, he raised the death sword in his hand and smashed towards one of the flying swords without a care for anything else. Dong! Combined with the activation of his immortal chi and the strength of the death sword in his hand, the sharp sword was actually forcefully changed direction. With a rumbling sound, it flew towards the Void Spirit like a missile. The trajectory of its flying shuttle seemed to be able to break through all the void, and the terrifying sword force caused one scalp to go numb. Kong Ling's expression changed greatly as she hastily dodged. Her body suddenly disappeared and dodged to the side, but even if she dodged, she was still forced to sway by the pressure brought about by the sharp sword, and almost lost her balance. Seeing the flying sword fly into the distance and disappear, leaving behind only a broken path in the void, Kong Ling, the dignified envoy of the Immortal Court, was also quite frightened. If she were to be struck by it, what would happen? She turned her head and looked behind Su Yun. There were still 4 swords circling there. In other words, Su Yun still had 4 more chances to attack. However, Kong Ling would not let Su Yun have any more leeway to attack. She held onto the crystal ball tightly and urged it towards Su Yun and shouted in a low voice, "Imprison!" The crystal ball released a circle of light, and then a beam of light shot out from inside, instantly shining on Su Yun's body. Seeing that the situation was bad, Su Yun immediately released another sword strike, and another flying sword rushed towards Kong Ling. However, Kong Ling's movements were too fast. The moment the light shot out, she immediately teleported away, and the flying sword once again landed on empty air, and after Su Yun was illuminated by the light, his body could not move at all, as though his hands and feet were unknowingly bound. Crap! Su Yun's face revealed a look of defeat. He secretly cursed. He tried his best to move, but no matter what, he could not move. This time, let's see what other tricks you have. The corners of Empty Spirit's mouth rose, and her long and narrow snake eyes revealed a proud look. She put away the crystal ball, and with a flick of her hands, 2 slender and dense chi blades appeared in her palms. Looking at Su Yun, who was completely bound in the distance, she immediately rushed over, and the 2 chi blades directly pierced his chest. The chi blade was especially terrifying. As it swung, space distorted and rippled like ripples. It's over. Su Yun was suppressed, and with his cultivation, it was impossible for him to break free from Kong Ling's technique. Actually, she could have used this kind of suppression a long time ago, but she could not guarantee that she would be able to break through Su Yun's defenses. But with Su Yun's current situation, she was very confident. This time, no one could stop her. Breaking the body, capturing the soul, and bringing it back to the Immortal Court to claim credit. This time, he had truly profited greatly. Kong Ling was overjoyed. She was getting closer and closer to Su Yun. Looking at Su Yun's pale and terrified face, her heart was filled with excitement. Bang! At this critical moment, the gigantic devil bone spirit suddenly disappeared without a trace. Following that, Her body trembled violently, and her chest exploded in that instant. A hideous bloody hole formed in her chest, and then a ray of light shuttled out. Kong Ling's eyes widened. She lowered her head to look, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. Were these the flying swords? Dong! Dong! The remaining two swords also rushed over, directly piercing through her chest and abdomen. Her immortal meridian was directly destroyed, and everything in her body was severely damaged. What's going on? He had clearly been imprisoned. Why? He can still control those swords? Kong Ling could hardly believe what had happened. Chapter 1082. The three sharp swords pierced through the ethereal body, and the ethereal attack also disappeared without a trace. Her body trembled a few times, the whirlpool swayed, and she fell downwards. The spatial energy that was binding Su Yun also disappeared without a trace. Her body was completely pierced through by the three sharp swords, and the three large holes almost completely shattered her body. From her chest to her abdomen, her bloody internal organs were directly exposed to the naked eye. Su Yun held onto the death sword and looked at the falling Kong Ling, killing intent exploding in his eyes. Kong Ling did not know that the five swords that were flying at high speeds had actually formed a sword formation. Even if he was bound, as long as he had a little bit of strength, he would be able to activate the sword formation, allowing the swords inside to directly attack. Although Kong Ling's space-time technique was strange, every time she used it, it would take a long time to form. She did not seem to be good at close combat. Unlike the blades and swords, once they were used, it would be a direct attack. The moment Su Yun was imprisoned, he had already sensed that something was amiss. He immediately let go of the death sword in his hand, bestowing the death sword with his last bit of immortal chi, causing it to strike the formation core of the sword formation, completely activating the sword formation, which was why there was such an attack. The sword formation trembled crazily, but it was all an illusion. The real killing move was that it had locked on a Kong Ling from the very beginning, but Kong Ling did not know, and thought that these flying swords still needed Su Yun's control in order to hit her. This was actually Su Yun's last move. If this move did not work, then Su Yun would truly be helpless against an existence like Kong Ling, who was proficient in space-time techniques. Other than running away, there was no other way. Seeing Kong Ling's appearance, he heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately raised his death sword and rushed towards Kong Ling, intending to completely destroy her body and imprison her soul. Once Kong Ling was defeated, the remaining Yuan Tianya was nothing to worry about. With the help of Qin Xianlong, Xing Bai, Faceless, and the other experts, and with the help of Wei Ming's great exquisite technique, a mere Yuan Tianya was as easy as flipping his hand. However, just as Su Yun was about to give the finishing blow and completely destroy the Void Spirit, the Void Spirit's body suddenly released a large amount of dazzling light. The light contained a dense spatial aura, and they were like living creatures that directly enveloped the Void Spirit. Su Yun was stunned. He looked over and found a round object floating in the center of Kong Ling's broken heart. Upon closer inspection, it was the ball she had used before. The round object was like dust, disintegrating bit by bit, and the decomposed matter directly filled the broken body of Kong Ling. Not good. Su Yun's face changed. He immediately pushed his speed to the limit and rushed over. Whoosh! However, just as he approached the empty space, a strange sound rang out beside his ear. Immediately after, his gaze flashed, and before he could even react, he discovered that he had once again appeared at the place where he was previously imprisoned. What was going on? Su Yun was stunned. He looked at the empty spirit, only to see that at this moment, her entire body was filled with spatial doors. As long as she got close, she would be teleported away from her side by the spatial door. Su Yun clenched his teeth. The fire in his eyes became even more intense. He suddenly pulled out the Lotus Star sword from the sword sheath. The snow-white sword body released a mysterious light. He held onto the sharp sword tightly. The sword tip aimed at the spatial door. Break! The snow-white sword edge released waves of mysterious power, but when it struck the spatial door trembled for a moment, but did not move at all. The Lotus Star sword could not break the spatial door at all, or rather, with Su Yun's current strength, he was still unable to break the Void Spirit's technique. The difference in cultivation between the two was simply too great. Su Yun was anxious. If Kong Ling was not dead at this time, then killing her would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Break! 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 Su Yun continued to roar, but as the roar fell, the Lotus Star sword flashed a few times, but the spatial doors did not break. There's no need to waste time. Just at this moment, an ethereal voice suddenly rang out from within the halo of light behind the spatial door. The person within the halo of light was completely unharmed. There was not a single wound on her body, and she had already recovered to her original state. Not only that, even her aura had become extremely dense at this moment. Is it time reversal again? Su Yun's eyes tensed up, but she did not sacrifice her disciple. Could it be that pearl just now? I think you've guessed it too. The ethereal voice in the halo said coldly. That's right, I did indeed sacrifice my life treasure, the soul pearl, to reverse the flow of time, allowing me to recover from my near-death state. Damn devil cultivator. Do you know how many disciples I sacrificed and how much energy I spent to refine this soul pearl? I never thought that today I would actually use it for a dirty and despicable devil cultivator like you. As he spoke, his ethereal face was suffused with anger. The spatial door around her gradually dissipated, and the halos of light surrounding her body also retreated one by one. At this moment, the ethereal spirit was almost the same as when he first saw her. Other than the pearl, it was almost exactly the same. She had already recovered to her peak, but Su Yun was already close to the bottom of the bottle, and it was difficult for him to fight anymore. He heaved a sigh of relief. Against these two fifth-stage, spirit-profound immortal, he had used up almost all of his methods, but it was still to no avail. Dirty devil cultivator. The hollow spirit eyes were filled with anger as he stared at Su Yun. This time, let's see what other tricks you have. Obediently accept your death. With that, she rushed towards Su Yun. The spatial aura instantly enveloped her entire body. She disappeared once again, and when she reappeared, she was already in front of Su Yun. Even if he did not have any other methods, Su Yun would not give up just like that. His eyes were orange-red. The blood in his body started to boil. With one hand holding onto the Lotus Star sword and the other holding onto the Death Sword, he fiercely slashed towards the empty spirit. With both of his hands holding onto the Space Chi blade, he directly slashed towards Su Yun. The four blades clashed. The Space Chi blade trembled. An indescribable force spread throughout Su Yun's entire body, causing him to be sent flying. The power spread throughout his entire body, messing up the immortal chi in his body, causing Su Yun to be unable to condense any more immortal power. He clenched his teeth and anxiously stabilized his body. At this moment, he felt that the strength he used to hold onto the two swords had become much weaker. He no longer had the ability to fight with the empty spirit. Su Yun, how are you? Ling Qingyu, who was inside the sword sheath, seemed to have sensed that something was wrong with Su Yun. She anxiously rushed out and stood beside Su Yun and asked with concern, I'm fine. Su Yun took a deep breath and said, You're still saying that you're fine. The immortal chi in your body has dissipated, and your immortal eyes are also close to drying up. The current you is simply not a match for that woman. Ling Qingyu was a sensible person, although her cultivation was not high. But surprisingly, she was able to see through the situation in Su Yun's body. But at that moment, Su Yun did not think too much about it, and said solemnly, Qingyu, this place is very dangerous. Quickly return to the sword sheath. Danger? Ling Qingyu turned her head and looked at the woman, but she secretly clenched her fists. Qingyu, Su Yun, let's retreat first. Don't worry about this woman. Ling Qingyu suddenly said, If I ignore it, I have nowhere to run. Su Yun glanced at the sword sheath and said, How is Yuan Tianya? Although Yuan Tianya has recovered, his life treasure has been destroyed by you, so he no longer has much fighting strength. With Wei Ming's great exquisite technique, it won't be difficult to suppress him. Is that so? That's good. It was a pity that the Void Spirit was proficient in spatial teleportation, and he could not find the chance to activate the great exquisite technique. Otherwise, if he could understand the thoughts of the Void Spirit, then it would be extremely easy for him to deal with his enemies. Who is this girl? Hee, what a weak cultivation. A guy like you can't even survive in the myriad realms, and you actually came to the immortal realm. Are you the dual cultivation partner of this devil cultivator? The Void Spirit looked at Ling Qingyu and sneered. She immediately activated her spatial technique and attacked again. Dirty devil cultivator, today is the day of your death. I will send all of you on your way together. With that said, the Void Spirit instantly appeared in front of Su Yun. Be careful, Su Yun shouted anxiously, but Ling Qingyu did not dodge. In a moment of desperation, Su Yun immediately removed the sword sheath in his hands and rushed towards Ling Qingyu. Before Ling Qingyu could even react, her entire body was already inside by Su Yun. But in the next second, the Void Spirit's fierce, spatial chi blade directly struck Su Yun's body. The divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe was finally unable to hold on any longer and was directly struck out. The chi blade pierced through the battle robe and directly pierced through Su Yun's chest. Su Yun, Ling Qingyu's mournful voice came out from the sword sheath, and the sword sheath's light shone again, as though Ling Qingyu was about to run out again. Don't come out. If you come out, you will die. Su Yun clenched his teeth. He stared at the empty spirit in front of him. Ignoring the pain in his chest, he directly raised the death sword and fiercely thrust it towards the empty spirit. He probably knew that the death sword was not ordinary. His body flashed, and he retreated 1,000 meters away, dodging the sword, and looked at Su Yun in ridicule. At the moment, Su Yun did not have much immortal chi left. The divine power of the Imperial Battle Robe had also been completely lost. The Void Spirit's mobility was too strong. The Battle Robe could not even absorb the immortal chi to replenish its energy. The current him was already at the end of his tether. Even flying seemed to be swaying. It was extremely difficult. The current him probably didn't even have the chance to escape. Su Yun, don't worry. I'll kill her. Just then, Ling Qingyu suddenly said with killing intent. She immediately rushed out and stood in front of Su Yun, her beautiful face filled with anger. You're still being willful at a time like this. Su Yun grabbed her small hand, but even if he raised his hand, he would still be out of breath. Ling Qingyu wanted to step forward, but when she turned to look at Su Yun, a complicated look surfaced in her eyes. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but was unable to say anything. Yo! What a touching scene, but I hate this kind of scene the most. Empty Spirit raised a mocking smile. His body moved again, rushing towards the two of them. Let me destroy this scene with my own hands. As soon as he finished speaking, he appeared in front of the two of them. You're courting death. Ling Qingyu was furious. But at this critical moment, crash! A pitch-black round shield suddenly appeared in front of Su Yun. The hollow spirit dual blades directly slashed onto the round shield. Not only did the invincible spatial blade chi not cause any damage to the round shield, it was even bounced back. Kong Ling was sent flying. When he stabilized his body and looked at the round shield, he discovered that it was a defense condensed from endless devil chi. What's going on? She stared at the sky, only to see a large amount of pitch-black chi gradually enveloping the sky. The distance was gradually dyed with a large amount of bloodlight. The dense devil chi blew over with the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it filled the entire space. Devil chi? How could there be so much devil chi? Kong Ling's entire body trembled. The cold feeling caused her soul to tremble uncontrollably. This aura. It was as if some expert had descended. Chapter 1083. This sudden change caused Su Yun and Ling Qingyu to be confused. They looked around and felt that something was wrong. However, the rippling devil chi made Su Yun feel at ease. At least it was devil chi. Could it be that the person who came was related to the devil? Both the sky and the ground were filled with demonic chi. The snow-white and translucent clouds had already been dyed by the demonic chi, and the temperature in the air had also instantly become incomparably cold. It didn't take long before this place slowly turned into a pitch-black ice cellar, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. Seeing that, without hesitation, Su Yun took out the sword sheath and threw it towards Ling Qingyu. "Su Yun, what are you doing?" Ling Qingyu's anxious voice came out again, but she had already entered the sword sheath. "The situation outside is too sudden. Qingyu, it's better for you to stay in the sword sheath. If anything happens, I'm worried that I won't be able to take care of you." Su Yun said. "You, don't be willful, Qingyu. You weren't like this in the past. Don't make me worry," Su Yun said with a bit of good intentions. Ling Qingyu wanted to say something, but in the end, she stopped and did not say a word. Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief, but he did not relax at all. He turned his gaze and looked into the distance. Everything around them had darkened, and a cold aura pervaded everyone's body. At that moment, not to mention Su Yun, even the void spirit did not dare to move, because what was spreading over was an extremely terrifying devil chi. She trembled, thinking that it was Su Yun's method, but after thinking about it, such a terrifying aura, was it really done by this person? If he had used this method from the beginning, how could she dare to fight with Su Yun? He would have already escaped and gone to the immortal court to bring reinforcements. At this moment, even the battle between the Circle Demon and Xing Bai had stopped because of this sudden turn of events. Everyone looked towards the slowly rising blood-red color in the sky, only to see that the blood-red color was like a gigantic devil eye, rising into the sky. Not long after, she suddenly let out a sound. Her arrogant attitude from before had already disappeared without a trace. She no longer cared about Su Yun, and anxiously activated her spatial technique, escaping into the distance. He disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had seen something extremely terrifying and didn't want to stay here for even a second longer. Su Yun was stunned for a moment, but then he saw that a cold aura came from behind him. Following that, a low voice floated out. "Are you all right?" Su Yun was startled. He turned his head to look behind him, only to see that there was a group of shadows standing behind him. All of these shadows were wrapped up by the dense devil chi. It was almost impossible to see their appearances clearly. Even their human forms were not clear. The only thing that could be seen was the faint blood-red eyes within the black shadow. Su Yun was startled. He looked at the shadow behind him in shock, but there was not much fear on his face. But for some reason, he did not know why, but he felt a sense of familiarity from the shadow. Why did he have such a feeling? Su Yun's heart was filled with suspicions. He looked at the source of the voice, the pair of blood-red eyes, and asked, "Who are you?" However, the voice did not answer Su Yun's question. A pitch-black hand suddenly extended out from the black shadow and grabbed forward. The place where the hand extended out caused the space to tremble, and in the end, it directly distorted like a kaleidoscope. There was no longer a complete area, and the hand, along with the distorted space, began to shatter. Su Yun's eyes widened, his heart thumping in fear. What was he doing? What method was this? At this moment, the already shattered hand suddenly pulled, and a mournful scream rang out. The spirit that had already escaped without a trace was directly pulled out from the distorted space. Seeing this scene, Su Yun was dumbstruck. The hand pulled out the spirit, and with a sudden fling, a huge force acted on the spirit's entire body, causing the spirit to spit out a mouthful of blood that glowed with a white light. Then she fell down. Her four limbs seemed to have lost all strength, and the skin all over her body also began to crack. Seeing this scene, Su Yun knew that all of the immortal meridians in her body had been shattered. An expert of the 5th stage of the spirit profound immortal realm, and an envoy of the immortal court who had mastered space-time techniques, was not only forcefully pulled back by these fellows, but in a few breaths of time, he was crippled. Could these people be gods? Su Yun looked at the black shadow in shock. The shock in his heart could no longer be described with words. Kong Ling did not fall into the clouds below. Instead, he was held back by the huge black hand that had appeared out of nowhere. Upon closer inspection, the black hand was like the hand of a giant, and it was completely formed from devil chi. It was especially magical. Although it was chi, it seemed to be extremely powerful, and after the spirit was held back, it was slowly lifted over. At this moment, she was lying motionlessly in the black shadow. Only her eyes were staring at Su Yun. Her eyes were filled with the desire to live, filled with fear, hesitation, and confusion. Su Yun also stared at her blankly. At this moment, he completely did not understand what was going on just now. He was forced into a dead end by Kongling. Kongling was in control of everything in the situation, but now, Kongling was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, lying in front of him, unable to escape or resist. The space-time technique that she was so proud of had been completely crippled. This dramatic scene made Su Yun unable to understand it all. He raised his eyes and looked at the large black shadow in front of him. His eyes gradually turned red, and the blood in his body boiled to the extreme. The devil chi around his body also overflowed more and more. He seemed to have thought of something and tried his best to look into the black shadow. The blood-red demon eyes seemed to be able to see something different, but this time he vaguely saw something. There seemed to be dozens of people standing in that black shadow. Who? At this moment, the big hand that was dragging the spirit suddenly moved. The incomparably huge devil chi hand curled up its 5 fingers and closed in on the empty space in the middle. Seeing this, the spirit let out a miserable scream. "Don't kill me! Don't kill me!" However, at this moment, she could not escape at all. She could only watch as the 5 gigantic fingers pressed towards her, and the pitch-black devil chi gradually wrapped around her body. She could only shout with all her might, and in this dark and terrifying world, her voice reverberated back and forth. Su Yun stared at all of this without making a sound. He wanted to do something, but he didn't know what to do. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say a single word. Gradually, the 5 fingers completely closed, and the spirit was completely engulfed by the devil chi, completely disappearing into the devil chi. The sound of skin and bones being squeezed could be heard from within the devil chi, and a flower of blood blossomed, and the miserable cries of the spirit also disappeared. Su Yun knew that the spirit was already dead, and that even his soul would not be able to escape. He retracted his gaze and looked at the black shadow again. He took a deep breath and asked, "Who the hell are you?" "You are the demon lord of the true devil sect, right?" A voice floated out from there, but did not answer Su Yun's question. Instead, it directly asked a question. "I am. All of you seniors seem to be devil cultivator-s as well, right? I just don't know when such a powerful devil cultivator appeared in the true devil sect," Su Yun said in a deep voice. Although they were devil cultivator-s, these people did not know anything about them, so it was better to be careful. Unexpectedly, when Su Yun said that, the voice immediately let out a burst of laughter. "Ha ha, Demon Lord, do you know when such a powerful devil cultivator appeared in the true devil sect? Do you really not know? If you don't know, then let me ask you, where did the fleeting shadow art that you used before come from? Where did the yin-yang manifestation art that you used before come from? Where did the demon saint's soul that you obtained come from?" With that said, Su Yun was stunned for a moment, and then looked at the black shadow in shock. "You're talking about the great devils of the true devil sect who have already left the sect? You finally reacted?" The laughter did not diminish. Other than us, ordinary devil cultivator-s who dare to move around in the immortal world would not be able to survive here. Once they appear, with the nose of the immortal court's eagle dogs, I'm afraid it won't be long before they kill us and exterminate us. But what shocked us was that we never thought that the demon lord of the true devil sect would actually go up to the immortal world and even cause so much trouble. Another elderly voice sounded. As expected, the student is better than the master. Appreciative laughter came out. Su Yun was excited. He immediately cupped his fists and bowed to the black shadow. "Junior, Su Yun greets seniors. There's no need for formalities. Let's settle the matter at hand first." As the sound of his voice faded, a beam of light shot out from the black shadow, directly into the sky. In that instant, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. In the sky, tens of millions of blood-red eyes suddenly opened. These eyes were like the eyes of demons, staring straight at the place where the round demon, Xiang Yang, and the others were fighting. After 3 breaths of time, each of their eyes shot out an extremely terrifying ray of light, striking down at the battlefield of the round demon and the others. Su Yun looked over. In that short period of time, all the people from the immortal court on the battlefield were instantly killed by the light. No matter who it was, they were immediately turned into ashes. The people from the immortal sects were completely stunned. Even the people from the misty, immortal mountain who were attacking the barrier were stunned. Even though the barrier was about to shatter, at this moment, they were like statues standing rooted to the ground, not daring to move at all. Chapter 1084. A situation that should have killed Su Yun was instantly overturned by the great demons of the true devil sect. Su Yun stared blankly at all of this. The disbelief in his eyes was hard to erase. In the blink of an eye, an immortal had been reduced to ashes. Was this the manifestation of an extreme devil? What level were these existences at? He seemed to have thought of something and immediately took out the sword sheath and shouted, "Qingyu, let them bring Yuan Tianya out." Ling Qingyu obviously knew what was happening outside. She responded and immediately informed Wei Ming and the rest. Everyone cooperated with the great exquisite technique and brought Yuan Tianya, who had already used up more than half of his immortal qi, out. At this moment, Yuan Tianya was already gasping for breath. Although the strength of Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, and the others was nothing compared to him, there was Wei Ming beside them. This guy always shouted out all the thoughts in his mind when he launched an attack, causing many of his attacks to fail. Even defending was extremely difficult. With a great exquisite technique, even if he suppressed Yuan Tianya's strength, he would not be able to gain the upper hand. Everyone joined hands to force him, and with Su Yun opening the sword sheath in time, Yuan Tianya immediately rolled out. The moment he came out of the sword sheath, Yuan Tianya immediately felt that something was wrong. The dense devil qi was like a poisonous snake crawling and biting his body. His entire body trembled a few times and immediately stopped his attacks on Xing Bai and the others, his eyes wide open as he looked around. Seeing the pitch-black scene around him, Yuan Tianya finally realized the situation he was in. Where's Lord Kongling? He could not find the empty figure, and all he could see was a pitch-black mass of matter. He could not see what was inside, but when he saw Su Yun standing not far away, completely unharmed, he had already guessed that something bad had most likely happened to him. However, no one answered him. The only thing that responded to him was the gigantic devil hand that had extended out from the black shadow behind him. Seniors. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately shouted, "Don't kill him, just cripple his cultivation. I still have a use for him." Useful? A doubtful voice came out from the demon shadow. "Forget it. Since you're here, I'll help you." The voice rose again. Shinner, the demon hand that was extending towards Yuan Tianya, suddenly grabbed him and directly grabbed him. What is this?" Yuan Tianya screamed and struggled, but no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from this terrifying hand. The demonic aura hand clenched slightly, and with a kacha sound, the skin and flesh all over Yuan Tianya's body split open. He shuddered for a moment, and then collapsed in the demonic hand like a dead fish. He did not even have the ability to stand up, and could only do his utmost to breathe. His eyes, which had been brimming with vigor in the beginning, had already dimmed like a person who was on the verge of death. The demonic aura hand gradually dissipated, and Yuan Tianya fell like a dead fish. Xing Bai, who was at the side, hesitated for a while when she saw this, but she still plucked up her courage and grabbed Yuan Tianya. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately cupped his fists. "Thank you, senior. No need to thank us. Although we have left the true devil sect, we are still people of the demon world." At this moment, a person slowly walked out from the pitch-black fog. Although this person had appeared alone, his entire body was still pitch black. It was impossible to see his appearance clearly. Only two blood-red eyes could be seen. The demonic aura in the sky gradually thinned, while the other figures slowly flew into the distance. The chill in the air also gradually calmed down. Seniors, why did you choose to leave the true devil sect back then? Senior's strength is extremely high. I am afraid that they have already reached the spirit profound God. With such methods, why would they be afraid of immortals? So Yin asked, puzzled. He did not know the methods of these people in the past, but after seeing them today, it was truly shocking. If these great demons were willing to return to the demon world, would there be a need to be afraid of the people of the immortal world? When we left, it was also for some reason. However, Demon Lord, there is one thing you are wrong about. Although you feel that we are very strong right now, in reality, our strength is nothing in the immortal world. You have yet to see the true experts. The figure said again. What? Su Yin was extremely shocked. This kind of existence that could easily kill a fifth stage spirit profound immortal was not truly strong. Then what was the level of the peak? The peak of the spirit profound God? The people we killed before and the one over there are all just small pawns of the immortal court. They are not considered much, and killing them is as easy as flipping our hands. But the immortal court is not simple, and there are existences that can contend against us. Even though it is not on the surface, you must not underestimate them. The figure said again. Su Yun nodded. After hesitating for a moment, he finally spoke. Seniors, although today's matter has passed, Su Yun does not understand. Why would seniors rush here? We received the news, so we rushed over to help you. News? Su Yun was startled. Who sent you the news? The sect master of the true devil sect. The figure said indifferently. Sect? Master? Su Yun was shocked. He never thought that it would be the sect master of the true devil sect who invited these great demons over. When could the sect master contact these great demons? Yes, it's the sect master. The figure paused for a moment, then said, Ever since you entered the immortal world, we sense a trace of it. Although you hid it very well, devil chi is different from immortal chi. Immortals are extremely sensitive to devil chi, and we're even more sensitive to devil chi. Therefore, not long ago, I was sent by the various masters to the true devil sect to ask the sect master about this matter. We did not know that so many things had happened, nor did we know that the current demon lord already had such a method to be able to enter the immortal world. Although you did it out of good intentions, the current true devil realm has already been unknowingly pushed onto a path that you cannot retreat from, and can only move forward to survive. Of course, we do not blame you. In that situation, there is no other way. Therefore, in order to be able to help you at certain critical moments, I left behind a command medallion that can allow the sect master to contact us. As the figure spoke, he took out another order medallion from somewhere and handed it over to Su Yun. Su Yun was startled. He looked at the order medallion. It was just a very ordinary order medallion. There were no decorations, nor were there any engravings. There was only a simple word demon. He extended his hand and received the order medallion. Looking at the words on it, the blood in his body started to stir. As for whether or not Octagon Aniseed would tell the sect master, Su Yun did not know, but what he did not expect was that the true devil sect master would inform the great demons and have them come out to resolve this crisis. Did the sect master know in advance that Su Yun would suffer a huge loss in this operation? If there's anything in the future, use this token to inform us. If we can solve it, we will come out to help you. The figure said, Help? Are all of you seniors in the immortal world right now? Yes. Where is it? A place you don't need to know, and you can't know. Furthermore, our existence is a secret to many people. Although there are people in the immortal world who know of our existence, we are safe from the looks of it. Demon Lord, actually, we do not want to appear this time, nor can we, but the situation is special. We have no choice but to make a move. Our existence cannot be exposed. After this, we need to hide for a period of time, and you also need to hide your tracks well, so as not to arouse the suspicion of the immortal court. Actually, other than the immortal court, there are many other powers in the vast immortal world that cannot be provoked. You must remember this. A big tree attracts the wind, especially us demons. We can't afford to provoke even the slightest bit of wind, otherwise. It would be a disaster. Hearing that, Su Yun frowned and nodded. As if he had seen through Su Yun's thoughts, the figure paused for a moment, then said, "Do you still remember how the devil's soul in your body came about?" How could Su Yun not know about the soul bestowed by Senior Devil Saint? What do you think of the power of the Devil Soul? His ability is extremely high. If not for the Devil Soul, it would be impossible for Su Yun to have such a method so easily. Then what do you think of the Demon Saint? Su Yun felt that his brain was not enough. Just his soul alone had the power of a peak spirit god. What kind of method did that person have? There is no limit to our strength. We were all once people of the true devil sect, but ever since the fall of Changgu and Enmo, the true devil sect, and even the true devil realm have begun to slowly decline. The great demons have left the true devil realm one after another, not because they have abandoned the true devil realm, but because they want to go to a higher and stronger place to find a way out for the true devil realm. And the key to this matter is the Demon Saint. Senior Devil Saint? The order badge in your hand is my keepsake. Once you activate it, I will immediately receive a signal, but you must remember not to use it rashly, because the signal released by the order badge might be caught by our enemies. If that is the case, it will attract even more trouble. So keep the order badge well, just in case. Yes, Senior. But Senior, what exactly are you planning to do? Do you need Junior's help? Right now, your power is indeed beyond our expectations. If we borrow your hand, we can indeed relax a little, but the situation in the immortal world is complicated. If we get involved in one place, it will only attract more trouble, so we should first lay low for a while and wait for the immortal world to calm down. I see that the sword sheath you're using should be the sword sheath used by the legendary Limitless Sword Ancestor, right? Are you related to the Sword Ancestor? Or did you accidentally obtain this box? This sword sheath was passed down by the Sword Ancestor, and I am actually the successor of the Sword Ancestor. If we can have the help of the Sword Ancestor, then this matter will definitely be successful. Unfortunately, we are Devil Cultivator S after all, and the Sword Ancestor has disappeared for who knows how many years, so we do not know where he is. The Sword Ancestor also has some matters to take care of. I'm afraid he is powerless against Senior's matters. Su Yun shook his head. After all these years, he did not know if the Sword Ancestor had found his soul, or if he had recovered to his peak, or how he was doing right now. Su Yun still had some thoughts in his heart, but the current situation did not allow him to think too much about anything else. The Sword Ancestor is a genius in the way of the sword. He once entered the demon world and challenged my true devil sex genius in the way of the Sword Demon. The two of them fought for 3 days, and in the end, the Sword Demon lost to the Sword Ancestor by 1 move. I heard about this from the elders, and I don't know when it happened, but if you are the successor of the Sword Ancestor, your future will be limitless. Demon Lord, I will leave the matters of the true devil sect to you. Once we succeed, we will definitely be able to return the true devil realm to its former glory. With that, the figure gradually dimmed. Senior! Seeing that, Su Yun anxiously shouted. But the man did not respond to Su Yun. The sky gradually brightened, the temperature in the air returned to normal, and the man disappeared. Su Yun stared into the distance and did not make a sound for a long time. Master, do you have anything else to say? Seeing that Su Yun was still staring into the distance, Wei Ming came over and asked carefully. Of course. Su Yun sighed. I still don't know the name of that person just now. Who is he? Which great demon? Chapter 1085. The appearance of these great demons was completely out of Su Yun's expectations. He never thought that at this critical moment, he would actually receive their help. However, if not for them, Su Yun would have suffered a huge loss at the hands of the Immortal Court. Perhaps it could not be said that he had suffered a loss, but that he had completely fallen into the hands of the Immortal Court. This operation was truly too hasty. He did not investigate in advance, nor did he think of a solution after the unforeseen event, which was why it had turned out like this. Su Yun was also blaming himself, but now was not the time to blame himself, as these matters had not been resolved. Su Yun led Qin Xianlong, Xing Bai, and the others and quickly gathered towards the round demon. At this moment, the round demon, Xiang Yang, and the elites of the various sects were still standing there in a daze. What had just happened made everyone unable to wrap their heads around it. The people of the immortal court had all been annihilated. What had happened? Circle demon. Su Yun flew over and shouted. The round demon's entire body trembled. He turned his head and saw that Su Yun and the rest had returned safely. His eyes were filled with excitement and shock. Su Yun was fine. Didn't that mean that Yuan Tianya and Kong Ling had been dealt with? Su Yun did not wait for the round demon to think too much. He glanced at the 30,000 people from the misty, immortal mountain behind the broken barrier, lowered his head, and thought for a moment, then said with a serious expression, "Open the barrier. Lord, what are you doing? These 30,000 people have already witnessed the entire process. Quickly kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive." Su Yun clenched his fists tightly. His voice was somewhat dry. With that said, the round demon was startled for a moment. After taking a deep breath, he immediately gave the order. There were still more than 100,000 people here, and every single one of them was an elite of the 5 immortal sections. It was extremely easy to deal with these 30,000 people, and with the help of Qin Xianlong, Xing Bai, and the other great immortals, the 30,000 people did not even last for half an instant stick of time before they were all destroyed. There is still a lot of devil chi in the air, but at this moment, the matter of the devil cultivator in the immortal world could no longer be concealed. The only thing he could do was to hide his identity as much as possible. Yuan Tianya, Kong Ling, and the other people from the immortal court were killed, and not a single person from the misty immortal mountain was left alive. Even if the people from the immortal court rushed here, they would not know that it was Su Yun who did it. Don't worry about the devil chi. Quickly erase our own traces. Luo Wuling's men are about to arrive. Time is of the essence. Prepare to leave. Su Yun shouted again. No one dared to waste any time and immediately got into action. Not long after, the corpses of the dead immortal sect disciples were kept, and the battlefield was cleaned up. Everything was ready. Su Yun immediately activated the magic treasure and increased the speed of everyone, and everyone rushed towards the north. Not long after Su Yun left, Luo Wuling and close to 1 million people rushed over. Thousands of experts of the immortal court, along with the main forces of the startling Feather Emperor Palace and the immortal sects of the various alliances, the vast army rushed over like a huge wave of people. However, when a large group arrived, there was already no one here. Other than the dense devil chi that was difficult to disperse, there was only the pungent smell of blood. There were many corpses and minced meat on the ground below, but they were all from the misty, immortal mountain and the immortal court. Su Yun did not leave anything behind. Luo Wuling's eyes widened as he scanned the surroundings. His face was extremely pale, and he did not make a sound for a long time. The vast and boundless sky was especially quiet, and even the sound of the wind was gone. Countless pairs of eyes stared blankly at the scene, but they only felt that the clouds in the distance had been dyed red with blood. Quick, go and take a look. Finally, someone came back to his senses and immediately berated. The people from the various sects also dispersed and began to investigate the scene. Just what happened here? Luo Wuling took a deep breath and took out the token hanging from his waist. He stared at the token for a long time and then held it tightly in his hand. Lord Luo, can you contact Envoy Yuan? A sect leader of an immortal sect flew over and clasped his fists towards Luo Wuling. Luo Wuling hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. I can't contact him anymore. Can't contact him. Could it be the devil chi here is so dense? It seems like the devil cultivators have already infiltrated the immortal court. I think that it was also the devil cultivators who ordered the living beings of the myriad worlds to harass the gate of the immortal realm. The devil realm has already become so powerful, they have already entered our immortal realm. Perhaps the current devil realm is no longer as weak as we thought. That's right. There isn't a single corpse here, and there isn't a single survivor. We don't know anything about them, their current location, and so on. It seems like these devil cultivators are very cautious and ruthless. But aren't the devil cultivators all young and weak? There aren't even many spirit sages among them, let alone spirit profound immortals. The few great immortals who came later spoke up. Luo Wuling took a deep breath and said, "Everyone, let's not talk about today's matter anymore. Please return to the sect first. I, Luo Wuling, have failed in my duty to capture those thieves." In the future, Luo Wuling will naturally give everyone an explanation. Right now, it's more important to quickly report this matter to the Immortal Court. Luo Wuling will not stay for long. Since the devil cultivators have interfered in this matter, the nature is naturally different. This is no longer a matter of the Immortal Court. It is the responsibility of every immortal in the immortal realm. If the Immortal Court needs anything, please don't hesitate to give us an order. The misty Immortal Mountain sect leader walked forward and cupped his fists. Hearing that, Luo Wuling immediately cupped his fists and nodded. Seeing that, the rest of the people also came forward to express their intentions. This was a time to get closer to the Immortal Court. Although everyone had gathered together for the divine body, and the people of the Immortal Court knew a little about it, everyone's attention was completely attracted by the existence that had ambushed the Immortal Sect and the appearance of the Devil Cultivator. Since the Devil Cultivator had appeared, the Immortal Court would definitely take care of the Devil Cultivator. If they were to cause trouble for the true Devil Realm in the future, if they could go, they would definitely be able to obtain a lot of resources. Luo Wuling was also a smart person. How could he not know what they were planning? After saying a few perfunctory words, he left. The rest of the people were responsible for dealing with the aftermath. When Luo Wuling returned to the Immortal Court, the news of the appearance of the Devil Cultivator would definitely spread throughout the entire immortal world. Su Yun also understood this logic, so after returning to the Immortal Seeking sect, he rushed towards the true Devil Realm at his fastest speed, without stopping for even a moment. As for the matters of the Immortal Seeking sect, they were all handled by the Round Demon. In less than a day, he had entered the true Devil Realm. Under the dark sky, in front of the cold building that stood tall, dressed in a loose black robe, he had long since walked out of the Hall of Bones with a smile on his face and quickly walked out. Su Yun, who was wearing a cloak, walked in with a gloomy expression. "Ayaya, I received news a long time ago that the Demon Lord was returning to the sect. I didn't expect him to arrive so quickly. Lord Demon Lord, it must have been hard on you. Do you want to rest for a while?" he said with a smile. "Don't waste time. Where is the sect leader? I have something to tell you," Su Yun said in a deep voice. Something big happened? Seeing that Su Yun's expression was not good, he asked carefully, "Yes. How old?" "Older than you. It's so big." Octagon Aniseed was stunned. Su Yun was too lazy to argue with Octagon Aniseed, and directly headed towards the sect leader's cultivation grounds. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed hurriedly followed with short steps. The two of them arrived in front of the training grounds and informed the disciple guarding the door. The disciple did not dare to be negligent and ran in. After a while, he came out and bowed to Su Yun and Octagon Aniseed. "Vice Sect Leader, Lord Demon Lord, Lord Sect Leader invites you." "Yes." The two of them nodded and stepped in together. The cultivation grounds of the true Devil Sect's sect master were still as simple and crude as ever. There were no luxurious items inside, and other than a cold feeling, there was nothing else. The two of them walked inside for a while before a pitch-black curtain blocked their path. Behind the curtain was a blurry figure. "Greetings, Sect Leader." The two of them cupped their fists. No need to be so polite. The voice of the true Devil Sect's sect master came from behind the curtain. "Thank you, Sect Leader." The two of them looked at the blurry figure behind them. Su Yun bit his lower lip, wanting to say something, but after thinking for a while, he spoke first. "Sect Leader, perhaps we have to give up on the true Devil Realm." With that said, Octagon Aniseed's eyes trembled, and he turned to look at Su Yun in shock. The sect leader hesitated for a moment, then said indifferently, "Exposed? This time, I made a mistake in judgment." Su Yun sighed and told them what had happened. When the two of them heard this, they didn't say anything. After an unknown period of time, The sect leader continued. So you've seen those great demons? Although I've seen them, I haven't seen their faces. Like me? Yes. Actually, this is what we look like. The sect leader said indifferently. Cultivating to the great demon realm is actually considered formless. To us, our appearance is not important. What is important is that we have not forgotten our original hearts. Hearing that, Suyin nodded his head thoughtfully. Then, what should we do now? Although the demon lord has already taken care of the scene, the people of the immortal court will definitely know that the devil cultivator has already entered the immortal world. Although the people of the immortal world often fight openly and secretly for their own benefits. But if it is a matter of the outside world, they will probably join hands to fight against the outside world. This time, if the people of the immortal court take the lead, I believe that before long, the army of the immortal world will head towards the true devil realm and bring us a destructive blow. Octagon Aniseed could not help but say. He did not expect the situation to be so serious. With the current true devil realm, it is impossible for him to contend against the immortal world. Therefore, I think that Octagon Aniseed and the sect leader should quickly bring the people of the true devil realm to leave this world and find another realm to hide in. With our strength, I'm afraid we won't be able to hide for long no matter where we hide. He knew a thing or two about the methods of the immortals. I believe that the sect leader definitely has a way to hide. Suyin stared at the blurry figure behind the curtain and said seriously. The true devil sect leader was silent for a moment, then nodded without saying a word. With this nod, he agreed with Suyun's suggestion and decided to leave the true devil realm. There's no time to lose, Octagon Aniseed. Quickly go and make the arrangements. Fortunately, the deterrence of the great demons is still there. Before the immortal court figures out our identity and strength, they shouldn't rashly attack the true devil realm. We still have time to prepare. Suyun nodded his head. I will immediately return to the immortal world and think of a way to restrain the immortal court's actions. You guys quickly evacuate, and when you find a new place to settle down, send someone to inform the round demon. There's already a new settlement. At this moment, the sect leader spoke again. The two of them were stunned as they looked at him in unison. However, he slowly said, Actually, I have already made preparations a long time ago. The current true devil realm is actually a lamb waiting to be slaughtered to the people of the immortal world. If they want to destroy us, we have no way to resist at all. So what happened today is not a surprise to me. Long ago, I had already formulated a strategy to inform everyone in the true devil realm to gather in the north. Those who are willing to follow us will be brought along, and those who are not willing to follow us will be allowed to go. North, Octagon Aniseed was startled. His pupils suddenly dilated. Styx, could it be that you want us to write? Without waiting for Octagon Aniseed to finish speaking, the true devil sect leader immediately said, All devil cultivators, prepare to cross the river and enter the underworld. Chapter 1086. Nether Realm. Yin did not know what kind of realm this was, but based on the reactions of these people, he could guess that the Nether Realm was a special realm that was different from the myriad realms. The river Styx connected the true devil realm and the Nether Realm, but this special river was rarely mentioned by the devil cultivator, much less approached it. It was like a forbidden area, causing many devil cultivator to be extremely afraid. Suyin still vaguely remembered the skeleton beside the river Styx. Although he did not understand much about the Nether Realm, he knew that since the true devil sect leader dared to seek refuge there, then there must be a place that could accommodate the devil cultivator. Since the sect leader is prepared, then Suyun can rest assured. If I have decided, sect leader, demon lord, I will go and prepare. As he spoke, he turned and ran away. Suyun looked at the departing Octagon Aniseed, then cupped his fists and said, Sect leader, Suyun will take his leave first. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. Suyun, I have something to say to you. However, the sect leader opened his mouth and left Suyun behind. Suyun was puzzled. Does sect leader have anything else to say? I don't have anything to say. I just want to say a few words. The true devil sect leader hesitated for a moment, then said in a low voice, Demon Lord, do you still know what you are doing right now? What I'm doing now? Su Yun was startled. He did not understand, but when he calmed down and thought about it, he seemed to be at a loss. After a long while, he said in a low voice, "It's just to find a way out for the true devil realm." Really? I can't think of any other reason. Have you forgotten your original intention? Original heart? Yes, from the beginning. Were you really just trying to protect the true devil realm? The true devil sect leader seemed to be staring at Su Yun, and his voice became unprecedentedly serious. Su Yun, you should know that from the very beginning, you are not someone from the demon realm, and the blood in your body is not something you were born with. Hearing that, Su Yun frowned, but did not say anything. Even so, no matter what, you're now a member of the demon realm. I know that you are a person who values relationships, and in fact, everyone in the true devil sect values relationships. Su Yun, I have been training all day, and actually I also hope that in front of the strong warriors in the true devil realm, I can defend against them and resolve them. Everything in the sect will be handled by you and Octagon Aniseed. I'm also very at ease. You should still remember Changgu and Inamo, right? However, you must know that in the true devil sect, and even in the true devil realm, it is impossible for these two great devils to be remembered by the immortals. There are also many devil cultivators that they will remember deeply. Hearing that, Su Yun was slightly startled and could not help but think deeply. Indeed, his original intention was to protect, but not only to protect the true devil sect. What he wanted to protect was everything that was worth protecting. Whether it was his current actions in the immortal world or his desire to continuously raise his cultivation, wasn't all for this. I understand. Su Yun took a deep breath. Even though he did not understand why the true devil sect leader would say these words to him, no matter what the reason was, Su Yun had to listen to these words. Although we have to temporarily retreat to the underworld because of the immortal world, but Demon Lord, you must know that our true devil realm is not afraid of the immortal world. Although we are indeed in decline now, a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. If there comes a day when we reach the point where we have no choice but to fight with the people of the immortal world, I hope that you can immediately return from the immortal world. Why did you come back? You will never be fighting alone. After the blurry figure finished speaking, he did not say another word. Su Yun quietly looked at the back of the pitch-black curtain. After a long while, he cupped his fists and turned to leave. In a great hall made entirely of white jade bricks, there were a few figures crawling on the ground. At the top of the great hall, there was a figure with his hands behind his back, glaring at the people below. Although the great hall looked luxurious, there were not many decorations. On the left and right were two huge Qilin statues, and on the wall behind, there was a relief engraved with the rules of the immortal court. The man with his hands clasped behind his back wore a grayish-yellow robe. The robe was very strict, and there weren't many gaudy patterns. He wore a black crown on his head, and there was a square token on his waist. Together with his square face, he gave off a very upright appearance, but he didn't have much of an immortal's demeanor. A furious voice came out of his mouth. "What did you say? There are devil cultivators who have snuck into my immortal world, and Yuan Tinya died at the hands of these devil cultivators?" "Yes, my lord." Luo Wuling knelt on the ground, not daring to raise his head, and said in a low voice, "Not only Lord Yuan, according to the Imperial Gate envoy Lord Long Jing, the space-time envoy Lord Kong Ling received Lord Yuan's request for help. And with Lord Long Jing's help, he brought people to Lord Yuan's location to provide support. But after that, there was no news of him, and he could not be contacted. I'm afraid that he was also harmed. A bunch of bastards." Zunli flew into a rage, and his anger soared to the sky. The people below hurriedly lowered their heads again. "My lord, please calm down." "Calm down? How can I calm down? Look at what you have done. The higher-ups only summoned me for a short meeting of 7 days, and once the meeting ended, I've already lost 2 envoys. How can I explain this to the higher-ups? And it's not good that anyone died, but the space-time envoy and fate envoy died. Do you know how important these 2 people are to me? Do you understand?" Zunli was so angry that he wanted to run down from above and kick these people a few times. The people below did not dare to make a sound. In fact, they also understood that although the immortal court was big, there were very few people who knew the space-time technique and fate envoy. Zunli was a fourth-rank immortal court official, and the reason why he was able to establish himself in the immortal court was mostly because of the two envoys under him, Kong Ling and Yuan Tinya. Without these two people, he could not have been so successful among the fourth-rank immortal court officials. But now that two people had died, no matter how good his temper was, he could not control it anymore. Zunli took 2 steps left and right, looking very anxious. He seemed to have thought of something and asked in a deep voice, "What is going on? Why is Yuan Tinya involved in this?" "This matter," Luo Wuling thought for a moment, then said, "This matter is actually related to 2 things that have caused a lot of uproar recently. One is the tragedy outside the Peerless sect, where dozens of elites of immortal sects were annihilated. The other is that in recent years, there have been many forces that have taken advantage of when some immortal sects are weak to launch sneak attacks and plunder resources, causing many immortal sects to suffer great losses and even decline in strength. Whether it is the Peerless sect incident or the sneak attack incident, no one knows who is the culprit. This time, Lin Yujing of the Jingyu Imperial Palace was suspected of slaughtering the head of the 8 Unity sect, Foresee's Heavenly Lord, and was invited to the Immortal Court for investigation. According to his account, the murder of Foresee's Heavenly Lord should be the culprit of the Peerless sect incident. He said that if the Misty Immortal Mountain and the other immortal sects were in conflict with the Jingyu Imperial Palace, that person would appear. This subordinate also wanted to bring this mastermind to justice, so I went to ask Lord Yuan to help me with divination to find out if that person would make a move and where he would make a move. Unexpectedly, after Lord Yuan divined, he said that he would go personally. This subordinate believed in Lord Yuan's strength, so I did not object, but I did not know that the mastermind was actually from the true devil world. Luo Wuling lowered his head again and shouted, "This time, all the crimes were caused by this subordinate. Please punish me." Hearing that, Zun Li's face became unsettled. His eyeballs rolled a few times, and he said solemnly, "Since this matter involves the true devil realm, then the nature of it is different. But if Yuan Tinya and Kong Ling were really harmed by the people of the true devil realm, then just how strong was the person who harmed them? The current true devil realm is just a bunch of mobs. Any few immortals can destroy it. How could they slaughter so many people from the immortal court? If this matter were to be spread out, do you think the higher-ups will believe it? Have you found the corpses of the 2? No. Did those devil cultivator leave any traces? Other than the devil chi, there is nothing else. Devil chi? After so long, I'm afraid it has almost evaporated. Ordinary people won't be able to find anything." Zunli shook his head and asked, "Then did anyone witness it?" This. Seeing Luo Wuling's speechless look, Zun Li's eyes widened, and he said angrily, "Could it be that there is no one alive?" Yes, Lord," Luo Wuling said helplessly. "There are no people, no corpses, and now even no smell. All of this is just your side of the story. How should I report it to the higher-ups? There were millions of immortals who witnessed the devil chi. It can't be false," Luo Wuling hurriedly said. "I don't think you dare to lie to me." Zunli obviously didn't want to see this group of people anymore. He directly walked down, kicked the people beside him away, and walked towards the door, not forgetting to snort. "This lord will report this matter to the higher-ups now. There will be specialized people to investigate the scene. If there is indeed the existence of the devil cultivator, then this matter will be easy to solve. If there is no aura of the devil cultivator, then you are unlucky, and I am also unlucky. If we go now, I'm afraid the devil chi will no longer exist. The immortal court has many methods. Even if it happened 100 or 1,000 years ago, as long as we use some methods, we will be able to see a thing or two. Then there is no need to worry. Wuling dares to use his head to guarantee that there is indeed the appearance of the devil cultivator. I hope so." Zun Li's eyes were filled with killing intent, and he said solemnly, "If it is indeed the doing of the devil cultivator, then There is no need for the trash of the true devil realm to continue staying in this world. In this world, it is enough to have immortals. Why do we need the existence of a filthy species like the devil cultivator? With that said, he snorted and walked out of the door. Chapter 1087. Otherwise, if the people of the immortal world were to sense it, they would definitely launch an attack on the true devil realm in advance. They did not dare to act rashly, because they were not sure how much power the true devil realm had. Yuan Tianya and Kong Ling, who were envoys of the fifth step immortal court, had already died. How could it be done by an ordinary person? After returning to the immortal seeking sect, Su Yun immediately summoned Su Luluo and asked him about the current situation of the immortal court. In fact, not only the immortal court, the entire immortal world should also be paying attention to the matter of the devil cultivator's reappearance in the immortal world. The immortal court would not treat it as a secret. Furthermore, the immortal court was not the only one who knew of this news. He believed that before long, this matter would spread throughout the entire immortal world, and a large number of immortals would request for the immortal court to head to the true devil realm. After all, although the true devil realm was weak, its resources were extremely abundant, and it was like a piece of fat meat. In the past, it was because of the rules set by the immortal court that they could not casually enter the myriad realms. But now that the people of the true devil realm had provoked the people of the immortal world, how could they continue to remain indifferent? Su Yun knew this, so he had Octagon Aniseed make preparations and bring his people to evacuate. He could give up on the resources, but he had to protect them. Inside the cultivation grounds of the immortal seeking sect, after Su Yun adjusted his breathing, he took out the pills from the space bag and stuffed them into his mouth one by one. Although everything had calmed down, there were still a lot of hidden dangers. Su Yun understood that the road ahead would be far more dangerous than he had expected. "Brother, why did you summon me so urgently?" Just then, Su Yuluo's voice suddenly came from outside the cultivation grounds. "Come in and talk," Su Yun called out. "Yes." As Su Luluo spoke, Shinner gently pushed open the door and walked in. She gracefully stood in front of Su Yun and bowed slightly. Her cherry lips parted. "Big brother, do you have any orders?" "Oh, I just want to ask about the recent matters of the immortal court." Su Yun looked at Su Luluo and said, "After returning from the true devil realm, I've been in closed-door cultivation for dozens of days. I wonder if the immortal court has any plans recently?" The immortal court has already issued an edict. In the near future, they will be exterminated in the true devil realm, and the people from the various immortal sects have already responded, but the immortal court has limited the number of people, only requiring 30 immortal sects to participate in the battle, and each immortal sect can only send 3,000 people. Right now, in order to fight for a spot, the various immortal sects are continuously sending gifts to the immortal court, and after the quota is confirmed, they might officially start to attack the true devil realm. "Oh." Su Yun's expression turned cold and snorted. In the end, the people of the immortal world still do not place the true devil realm in their eyes. In their eyes, the true devil realm is just a piece of cake, and they actually want to fight for the right to attack. Big Brother is the demon lord of the true devil realm. How do you think we should deal with him? There's no need to deal with them. I have already ordered the true devil sect to lead the majority of the devil cultivators to retreat. That's good. Although we've been ambushed, the people of the immortal court still don't know who we are. We're still in the dark while they're in the light. It'll be much easier for us to do whatever we want. That's right. Su Yun nodded his head. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. His eyes lit up, and he suddenly stood up. That's right. We're in the dark, they're in the light. If we really want to do something, it will be much easier. Luluo, you're right. Su Luluo was startled. He did not understand why Su Yun had such a big reaction. He tilted his fair neck and asked, "Big brother, what's wrong?" Su Yun's eyes swayed. He started to think. After a moment, he said, "Luluo, what do you think will happen if we also participate in the election to attack the true devil realm?" Su Luluo was stunned. He obviously did not know how to reply to Su Yun's words. After thinking for a while, he said, "Although the people of the true devil realm attack the people of the immortal court, There is no doubt about the strength of the Immortal Court, and the people of the Immortal Court will not think that the current true Devil Realm can fight against the Immortal Realm. If Brother is already targeted by them, but they do not know Brother's identity, according to Lilua's thoughts, they might think that Brother will continue to follow his previous actions at this critical juncture and launch a sneak attack on the immortal sects that participated in the attack on the true Devil Realm, but they would never have thought that Brother would actually plan to participate in this matter and act together with them. The purpose is naturally very simple. These people are fighting and scheming against each other for the sake of attacking the true Devil Realm. The conflict between them is actually very sharp. If we sneak in and provoke them a little, I'm afraid that there will be quite a bit of estrangement between these immortal sects and the Immortal Court, and at that time, when they start fighting amongst themselves, it will be a good thing for us. Hearing that, Su Luluo nodded. Brother, do you plan to go personally? No, not a single devil cultivator can go this time. After all, there are people from the Immortal Court following us. If a devil cultivator were to sneak in, they might be able to see through us. I plan to let Qin Xianlong lead a portion of the elites of the Hidden Dragon Hall to fight for it. With a few immortal sects working together, it shouldn't be difficult to fight for a spot. Although Qin Xianlong is an immortal, but he is already on the same boat as me. He will not betray me. So this time, I will let Qin Xianlong do this. Qin Xianlong is not controlled by the heart control pill. If he betrays you, what should we do? Luluo still thinks that it would be more appropriate to send Kai Tian. Su Luluo said worriedly. Hearing that, Su Yun shook his head. There is no need for Kai Tian. First of all, the death of the Four Seas Empyrean. There is still no result. Kai Tian is currently the deacon of the Eight Harmonies sect. He is actually being paid a lot of attention to by the people of the Immortal Court. If he were to participate in this matter at this time, I am afraid that the Immortal Court will investigate even more deeply. After all, the sect leader is already dead. He should be busy with the internal affairs of the sect. How could he have the time to participate in this matter? Furthermore, during the previous operation, Kai Tian had also mobilized a portion of the elites from the Eight Harmonies sect to participate in the battle. This news had been leaked, and the current situation of the Eight Harmonies sect was not good. During this period of time, Kai Tian had to keep a low profile in order to dispel the doubts of the Immortal Court and the other immortals. So this time, he could not choose Kai Tian. Then, Luluo, actually, you don't have to worry. Su Yun smiled slightly. Actually, in Qin Xianlong's heart, not only can I give him many benefits that he did not even dare to think about in the past, I can also represent absolute power. Because regardless of whether it is fighting against the Four Seas Empyrean or against the people of the Immortal Court, I have always directly activated the power of the Devil Saint Devil Soul to contend against them. They have a vague and unknown concept of my power, and they still think that I was the one who killed Yuan Tianya and Kong Ling. In their hearts, I am equivalent to a god. How could they dare to easily betray such a powerful person? Hearing that, Su Luluo nodded his head thoughtfully. Later, I will inform Qin Xianlong and discuss this matter with him. Luluo, you must keep a close eye on the situation at the Immortal Court. If there is any movement, you must report it to me in time. Don't worry, brother. I will warn the people from the Immortal Court. That's good. But, Luluo, who exactly did you send to sneak into the Immortal Court? Is it reliable? Reliable. Su Luluo muttered softly, but did not say who it was. Seeing that she did not say anything, Su Yun did not ask any further. He took a deep breath, then closed his eyes and meditated again. Brother, are you going to cultivate? Yes, I just swallowed some pills, and recently I felt that the immortal power in my body was a little restless. After exchanging blows with experts like Yuan Tianya and Kong Ling, I have gained quite a bit of insight. I will try to meditate for a while and see if I can gain anything. So that's how it is. Then Luluo will not disturb brother any longer. Luluo will take his leave first. Su Luluo nodded slightly, then bowed to Su Yun and prepared to leave. But just then, a voice came from outside the training grounds, but it was just a few light footsteps, which were rather regular. Hearing that, Su Luo's eyebrows twitched, and then said to Su Yun, Big brother, please wait a moment. With that said, Su Luluo quickly walked out of the training grounds. But not long after, she returned. When she returned, her small face was filled with seriousness. Su Yun sensed that something was wrong with Su Luluo and immediately asked, "Luluo, what happened?" Su Luluo thought for a moment, then said, "Lin Yujing's verdict has been given. How did the Immortal Court deal with it?" I just received news that Lin Yujing did not have enough evidence to determine that he was the murderer of the 4C Sky Sovereign. The Immortal Court announced that he was not guilty and allowed him to return to the startling Feather Emperor Palace. What? Su Yun's face darkened. Could it be that all the evidence and witnesses that I painstakingly set up were rejected by the Immortal Court? I don't know about this, but Lin Yujing is not an ordinary person. He has some connections in the Immortal Court. Actually, he was acquitted. Luluo was not surprised, but the only thing that surprised Luluo was, "What is it?" "Yes, the Immortal Court has set up a team to handle this case." Hearing that, Su Yun was puzzled. Didn't the Immortal Court start their investigation long ago? No, big brother, this time's investigation might be different from before. This time, it is specifically aimed at the Eight Harmonies sect. In other words, the Immortal Court has already shifted the target of their investigation from the startling Feather Emperor Palace to the Eight Harmonies sect. It is said that this group has already headed towards the Eight Harmonies sect. Su Luluo said softly. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart suddenly jumped. Directly heading to the Eight Harmonies sect to investigate? Other than the sky, who else could the main target of the investigation be? Everyone knew the methods of the Immortal Court, and no one could guarantee that they would be able to find anything. Chapter 1088. In the hall of the Immortal Seeking Sect, Wei Ming, Xiangyang, and Xingba were gathered together. The round demon was still handling some matters and was not present. Su Luluo quietly stood beside Su Yun, who was sitting at the top, her cherry lips slightly opened, as though she was saying something. After a while, the people sitting on both sides fell into silence. After a long time, someone spoke up. The grand exquisite art is famous in the immortal world and feared by everyone. If the Immortal Court has this art, it would be much easier for them to carry out their official duties. However, the Immortal Court has always been indifferent to the grand exquisite art of our grand exquisite art. It's not because they aren't interested in it, but because a few experts who cultivated the grand exquisite art have been serving in the Immortal Court since many years ago. I'm afraid that the reason why Lin Yujing could clear her name so quickly is because of this art. Otherwise, how could the Immortal Court directly determine that he has nothing to do with the 4C Sky Sovereign? Wei Ming, who was sitting on the right, said, "Even though you say that, how could Lin Yujing let the people of the Immortal Court see what he was thinking? One had to know that they had also done a lot of shameful things. He would never allow the Immortal Court to do this." Xingbai asked, "He's already in the Immortal Court. How can he do it himself? But he can completely force us to die." Wei Ming shook his head. Although the Jingyu Emperor Palace is nothing to the Immortal Court, but if Lin Yujing were to die in the Jingyu Emperor Palace, the impact would be different. The Immortal Court is a place that pays attention to fairness and immortal rules. If Lin Yujing were to die in there, it would undoubtedly be a severe challenge to the fairness that the Immortal Court has always upheld. How about Lin Yujing? Let's put this aside for now. What I want to discuss with everyone now is about Kai Tian. Su Yun said in a deep voice, "I just received news that the Immortal Court has already sent a special investigation team to investigate the matter of the 4C Sky Sovereign's death. Kai Tian is not a match for the Immortal Court. I am worried that he will reveal himself this time. Therefore, I have gathered everyone here to discuss a countermeasure." When everyone heard this, they immediately expressed their stance. Everyone was already on the same boat as Su Yun. Regardless of whether they could obtain the heart control pill or not, they would naturally side with Su Yun. Furthermore, Su Yun had never treated them unfairly. Although I've already informed Kai Tian about this, he doesn't have any countermeasures at the moment. Be it cultivation base or means, he's no match for the Immortal Court. If the people of the Immortal Court really arrive at the 8 Unity Gate, I'm afraid that Kai Tian will fall into a passive position. How do you think we should resolve this difficulty? Su Yin stared at the crowd and asked seriously. Xiang Yang sighed. Since the people of the immortal court have specifically prepared for this, it means that they won't give up just like that. It won't be easy to get rid of them. Lord Qin's understanding of the immortal court is higher than ours, but right now, he is dealing with the attack on the true devil realm, so I'm afraid he won't have the time. My lord, in my opinion, why don't we send a group of elites to intercept these people of the immortal court and kill them? Xingbai said. Heaven. Hearing that, Su Yin could not help but glare at him. Why don't you just let Kai Tian set up an ambush at the 8th door and kill these people? This would save us the trouble of finding them halfway. Wouldn't it be easier to let them walk right into the trap? Xingbai was at a loss for words. Furthermore, if we kill him, we'll be confessing without being pressed. Then, the immortal court won't even bother investigating Kai Tian anymore. Instead, they'll just arrest him and use the grand exquisite art. That way, we'll be completely exposed. But if we don't do that, we will still be exposed. Don't be impulsive. We can still act shamelessly now. Although the people of the immortal court have mastered the great exquisite dragon art, they can't use it by force. Otherwise, it will greatly damage their reputation. I don't think I need to explain how much the people of the immortal court are afraid of the great exquisite dragon art, right? So we still have time. Su Yin said solemnly. With that said, everyone fell into silence. After a long time, my lord, there's actually a way to resolve this crisis. The round demon who had been silent all this time suddenly spoke up. He rarely spoke and quietly listened to Su Yun and the other people in charge of the immortal sects. Hearing the round demon's words, everyone turned to look at him. The slightly aged face of the round demon was covered in a heavy filter. Elder Yuan and Mo, feel free to speak your mind, Su Yin said. The round demon hesitated for a moment, then stood up, cupped his fists toward Su Yun, and said with a deep voice, Master, if you feel that the matter of Kai Tian is too troublesome, you only need to erase Kai Tian. Erase? Su Yun frowned. Everyone was also alarmed. Kai Tian has consumed the heart control pill that Master has given him, so killing him can be said to be an easy task. As long as Master is willing, he can be erased right now. This way, there will be no proof, and even if the people of the immortal court go to the 8th door, it will be useless. The round demon said with a serious expression. With that said, the expressions of the surrounding people all changed. They immediately turned their heads and stared at Su Yun with their eyes wide open. The round demon's method was indeed feasible. If Su Yun wanted to kill Kai Tian, it could be said that he only needed a single thought. Once Kai Tian died, no matter how powerful the people of the immortal court were, they would not be able to dig out anything from Kai Tian's mouth. When the heart control pill took effect, even the soul would be destroyed. What else could a person without a soul do? Su Yun was silent. No one dared to make a sound, and only looked at Su Yun quietly. Everyone had a different expression on their faces. Some were solemn, some were nervous, some were anxious, and some were confused. Su Yun understood what they were thinking. At the moment, Kai Tian was still under the control of the heart control pill, but they did not. However, they had all stepped over from Kai Tian. If they were to sacrifice Kai Tian now, it would inevitably cause the leaders of the immortal sects to feel disappointed. This method won't do. Su Yin took a deep breath and said indifferently. Hearing that, the round demon did not say anything. He cupped his fists and sat down. He did not continue to persuade Su Yun, nor did he express any opinions. When the rest of the people saw this, they all heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. I can't kill Kai Tian for the time being. Although he was forced to follow me back then, since he is my man, I have to be responsible for their lives. Perhaps Kai Tian will indeed expose our identities, but things haven't reached that point of no return yet. Su Yun stared at Xingbai, Xiang Yang, and the others, and said in a heavy voice, Of course, I have to be responsible for Kai Tian's life, and I have to be responsible for your lives as well. If things really reach that point of no return, then I can only choose to sacrifice him. Otherwise, if he were to reveal us, I'm afraid that not only will I be hunted down by the immortal court, everyone here will not be able to escape. Everyone revealed astonished expressions, They probably did not expect Su Yun to say that. Wei Ming stood up again and said, "Since we can't kill Kai Tian for the time being, then Master, we only have one method left." "What method?" "Quickly get Kai Tian to leave the Eight Harmonies sect. Using sect matters as an excuse, let him avoid the people of the Immortal Court and delay for as long as possible. Furthermore, the Immortal Court's methods are powerful, and no matter where Kai Tian escapes to, he will be found by them. Furthermore, if he escapes, it will mean that he has a guilty conscience. The Immortal Court is only investigating right now, but if we do this, it will not be investigation, but will be locked onto Kai Tian as a suspect." Wei Ming was silent. He sat down and did not speak. Su Yun stood up and said indifferently, "At this critical juncture, we cannot be careless, and Kai Tian cannot be careless either. Any abnormal actions will only make the people of the Immortal Court even more suspicious, and there's only one way to make the Immortal Court dispel their suspicions and give up on their investigation of Kai Tian." Hearing that, everyone turned to look at Su Yun. "Everyone, come with me to the Eight Harmonies sect." "Lord, what are you doing?" "Assassination of Kai Tian," Su Yun said. As the sound of his voice faded, everyone present was startled, but very quickly, everyone came to a realization and understood Su Yun's meaning. Since the people of the Immortal Court were suspicious of Kai Tian, then directly shifting the target of the people of the Immortal Court was the best choice. "Master, how many people are going?" "A few of us will be enough," Su Yun said indifferently. "Back then, I created the illusion that the Jingyu Imperial Palace had sent experts to assassinate the Four Seas Empyrean. There's no need for a lot of people, but they must be experts. Yuan Mo, prepare some things from the Jingyu Imperial Palace." "Yes, my lord." Everyone stood up and shouted. The round demon's movements were not slow. Since he had already made his decision, he immediately took action. The people of the Immortal Court had already set off towards the Eight Harmonies door, so Su Yun would definitely be late if he rushed over now. But that was not important. Su Yun had made Kai Tian the person in charge of the Eight Harmonies door, because he had his eyes on his ability. If Kai Tian was really useless, Su Yun would not keep him. In the vast sky, 7 men and women dressed in black and brown embroidered robes were flying at high speed. The 7 of them were like 7 streaks of starlight, piercing through the sky. Very quickly, a huge cloud appeared in their line of sight. The cloud was extremely thick, and there was a layer of golden light enveloping both ends. Above the cloud, there were many beautiful Taoist temples, and many immortals could be seen entering and exiting the buildings. This was the Eight Harmonies sect. The 7 of them did not stop for even a moment. They directly landed in front of the Eight Harmonies sect and walked straight in. When the disciples guarding the gates saw this, they were all stunned for a moment. They all stepped forward in an attempt to stop them. However, the man at the front of the 7 raised his hand and waved it forward. In his hand was a command medallion, and he did not look at the disciples. Instead, he looked straight ahead and shouted loudly, "The Immortal Court is on a mission. No one is allowed to stop me. I want to see your elder Kai Tian." Immortal Court? When the disciples heard this, they all trembled. No one dared to stop them. These people then hurriedly walked inside. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.